My name is Aidan Kearney, also known as Turtle Boy.
He is a senior editor for Turtle Boy Daily News.
I'm a big fan.
We've broken hundreds of stories that the mainstream media won't touch.
Some blogger in Massachusetts who's getting to the bottom of this better than anybody.
Why is it Turtle Boy that is covering such important issues? Where is the rest of the media?
You did not say that you were going to take my baby out of revenge and make him a transgender baby.
Stop it.
Don't you want to ask some questions? I know you do.
I do. I know you do.
People don't like the things that I say and want me to stop saying them, but I won't. I'm never going to stop. These are the kind of stories that must be told.
And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
Tick, tick, boom. Noise. Go, baby, we bringing our toys. Boys, chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets.
Karen Reed has supporters who've shown up in large numbers.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this, so it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
This is the first time I think I've ever seen this. An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Unbelievable situation. Never seen anything like it.
Tick, tick, boom.
You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. It's go, 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 go time.
Tick, tick, boom.
Boom! What's up, people? How's everybody doing out there tonight? Good, good, excellent. Welcome to the live show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host. My name is Aidan Kearney, not Kearney or Kearney, as they often get wrong on 𝗺𝗿𝗄𝗃, but that's okay because I love them. Some people can call me Clarence Woods Emerson. That's my Facebook name. You know, old school turtle riders call me Uncle Turtle Boy. I prefer Dr. Turtle Boy. It's got a nice ring to it because if Jill Biden's a doctor, then so am I. And keep me updated, by the way, on the Celtics over yet, by the way. I've been so busy. Like, okay, yeah, they're winning by 20. Awesome. Sweet. Don't have to worry about shit. Awesome. We'll just cruise through this one. You know, some people call me daddy. You're not required to by any means. Like, I know that can be a little weird, but you know, it's not disqualifying either. You know, I don't care what you call me. Just be here every Tuesday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. and make sure you smash that subscribe button and give us a big thumbs up and then comment afterwards. And that helps us with the algorithms, they say. Keep spreading the word. Turtle, we're gaining crazy amount of subs, like hundreds a day. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. Like, what are we up to now for subs? Like, we just past 50, I feel like. Now we're up to 57, 330. We're going to get that. We're going to get that plaque. We're going to get that plaque. I promise you that. And I do have a little, hold on. I got to play this. Hold on. Hold on. I want to play this. Okay, all right. I got a special little video here that I want to share with the class before we get started. Let me send it to myself here. All right. Because, you know, things have changed. Things have changed. Hold on. Did it go through? Give me 1 sec. Let me upload it. Brand, add a video clip, add this one. Okay, I gotta get rid of one, huh? Turtle douche.
I like it. You know, it's not a big, it's not a high bar.
Dude, you know how to shut up? You know how to shut up? Have you ever shut up in your life?
I feel like you've done most of the talking, in fairness. Okay, sorry. So, whoa, take it easy. Easy, pussycat.
That one never gets old. That's Sean Goode's friend. That's not detective, Sergeant Sean Goode's good friend. Whatchamacallit? Jill Daniels. There she is, pussycat. So check this out, this clip. I like this one.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't even have credentials. Get out of this line, you punk. Yeah, but
I don't have what?
Yeah, but I mean, you don't even have credentials. Get out of this line, you punk. Yeah, but
I don't even have credentials. Well, that's interesting because look at this. Look what I found. Look what I found over here on the Dr. Turtleboy Twitter account. How about that? I'm a credentialed journalist. Look at that. How about that, Grant? I got 352 likes in 24 minutes. Suck on that. I am approved by the SJC under Rule 119 to be an official member of the media. It's no longer just, I've always been an award-winning journalist. Everyone knows that. But now it's official. So that's one of the things he doesn't even have credentials. Well, now I got credentials. So I'll see you tomorrow, colleague. I will be there bright and early. So yeah, it's happening. It happened. So anyway, if you guys like the program and you'd like to have your message read out loud to the class, and you just want to help the turtle along, you can click at that link at the top for something called Turtle Chat. When you do that, you can donate whatever amount of money you want, and you get to write a little message. And I will read that message out loud to the class. Whatever you want, anything goes. Or you can just cash at me at $ Uncle Turtleboy. That works as well. There it is. You can do that. Like, for instance, we already got one here. Let me read. All right. Please sit near. We'll see. It's my new colleague. It's my colleague. Okay. Let's see. We got one cash app here from we have this person is Lena, sends $10 and let's have a shot for shot Karen Reed live. I don't know what that means, but okay. Sounds good, Lena. I appreciate that. Shot for shot. Kerry sends $20 earlier and says, congratulations on getting the press pass. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Lena. And again, Cash App is $ Uncle Turtleboy, or you can click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat. Oh, I missed one earlier from Suzanne, who sent 25 and says, what a morning of testimony. It's a total shit show. Yes, it is. And we're going to get to all of that this evening. And yeah, we're just going to jump right into it. All right, so let's do it. And by the way, shout out to all the Rumble rats out there. 131 of you watching right now over on YouTube. We're already up to 2,700. We're killing it. So, let's see. All right, so let's pull it up. So what I want to start with is how it ended, actually, the hearing today, how it ended. So we've had over the last 2 days, we've had the Keystone Canton cops testifying about what is perhaps the most bootleg murder investigation in the history of law and order. Like, police in, the 17th century were more organized and thorough than the Canton Police Department when they find a dead police officer on a suburban lawn, like the way this was handled. I'm sure they don't have a lot of murders in Canton. So maybe that's their excuse. I don't know. But I feel like they might have learned this in the academy or something. I don't know. There seems to be a lack of leadership there, So, so let's go and watch the end of this, because I want to start with the most controversial part that a lot of people were buzzing about. I know during the stream, I was like watching this. I'm like, what just happened? So at the end of the hearing today, they brought on Detective Ray, and they used his dash cam video to show the state. So he's going back to the to One Meadows Ave, John O'Keefe's house, to check on the kids who are there, because John is deceased at this point, and Karen is in the hospital, right? She's been sectioned. So somebody has to make sure the kids are okay. So it's a wellness check. So they go back there, and inadvertently, they catch Karen's Lexus in the driveway, and the dash cam gets an image of it, right? And let's look at what this image shows us, okay?
So the individual just sort of walked across the front of the cruiser. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
And who was that?
that was me.
Your Honor, I'm not sure how. Maybe approach.
Okay.
Maybe approach. Now watch this. Watch John O'Keefe. Watch Paul O'Keefe. Watch what he does here. Okay, look at him there. Look at it. He's got like a smile. See, he's looking at it. And then watch what he does to Karen after this. But actually, before we show his reaction, let's take a look at the taillight, right? Like what it looked like. Like, let's see what it actually happened. And I showed this during the stream. And, I've had a lot of time to look at this now. And I have my opinions about this. So this is the vehicle. And it's undoubtedly, right, that this right here, let's color it in. How do I do the squiggly one? I don't want that one. I want the squiggly. Whatever. We'll just do the line. Okay. This right here is very different from this right here. Okay. Like, oh, can we do that? No, whatever. All right. See it? This is all red right here, particularly this portion. This portion's not. Like, let's zoom in. All right. That's red. So this is red. So this is where the door, see this little crack right here between the two? This is where this opens up. So the taillight is kind of like split between them on a Lexus LX 570. And this part is, red, and this part's red. Whereas on this side, this part's red. This part clearly is not. Now, a lot of people from our side, we're like panicking over this one. It's like, oh, fuck, what? That's not good. And they've attempted to explain this one away by saying that, well, that's snow. Because when I first saw this, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Because I know goddamn well that taillight was not completely shattered. Not. And you look at this, right? And it's like, well, it appears to be missing. Now, some people have said that this is snow. And I disagree. The more I look at it, I disagree. Okay. Because you got to be objective about this. This is the red part, right? So this cannot be snow, because you see this part right here. Let's make that smaller. Make that nice and small. Okay. You see the portion in between those two lines right there, where there's snow on that, but you can clearly see there's something red under there, right? So there is snow. The snow does not prevent you from seeing the redness, if that makes sense. So there's clearly red taillight under there. There's no doubt about it. Whereas here, if this is snow, I don't see any redness under this. So that's not going to work. And I think that's a bad position to take on this. Because this doesn't change a goddamn thing, just to be perfectly clear about Karen Reed's guilt or innocence. She's 1000% innocent, right? We just need a way, like, this has to be explained, right? Like, and if you're going with snow, that's a bad, in my opinion, that's a bad position to take, right? And people are saying snow drift, and I get that. Like, clearly, the snow drift was coming from this direction. There's no doubt about it. Okay. So it's blowing in this direction, because you could see it on John's car over here. See how this part of his taillight isn't hit this whole part of the car, pretty much. Like the other part of the car, whatever. But it's missing the more important point here. missing the more important point. It's that you got to look at a Lexus 570, what the taillight looks like. So I did that. Let's pull up this article that I published not too long ago, earlier in the day. All right. So this is what the car looked like when it was pulling out of One Meadows Ave at 5:07 a.m. Right? Let's take a zoom in a little. 5:07 a.m. You see this part right here? See how this angle is from the side? It's like a diagonal angle. It's not the same angle as you'd see behind the car. Like the cop is directly behind the car. So the cop is not going to see this part. He can't see this part. This is the as far right as the dash cam is going to get. So that gotcha that they think they have isn't much of a gotcha, because the dash cam from the police car doesn't show the side. It doesn't show the side. That's it. That's it. That's the only explanation. So don't attempt to explain this one away by talking about snow or anything like that, because it's a bad one. As you can see here in this video at 5:08, that part is clearly the plastic covering it is gone, so it doesn't illuminate. However, there it is, a zoomed in one. Look at this is at 4:12. So that's at 5:07 a.m. And then the dash cam is at 8:25. So it should be in the same condition, right? It should be in the exact same condition. It should also be in the same condition at 4:12 p.m. when Proctor gets a hold of it. So this is him towing the car from the Dighton residence of Bill and Janet Reed. And as you can see here, if you look in the top corner right here of the video as it's being towed away, this light is still on. The far right, the side view of the car, the plastic's still there. So it should be there always. Now, this is what it looked like days later after it got proctored. All right. A lot of this is their finished product that they sold us. This is the finished product from the Sally Port Garage. And you'll notice that like a whole mess of shit's gone here. Like it's not just this portion, which was the port. Like, I can't draw on this, but this portion right here is basically what the officer would see, right? He wouldn't see all this shit. This shit was clearly on before. And notice the sail shaped thing there. See how this looks like a little sail here? Now, this is a picture of a fully intact Lexus LX 570 2021 vehicle. All right. The small horizontal light at the far corner illuminates whenever the headlights are on. The small, like, sail-shaped thing right here, right, never illuminates. It's just a reflector and has no lamps inside of it. That piece is clearly still on the car at 5:07. We know that because this little dash, this little flat part here is illuminated completely, which it would not be. See how it's part of the same thing here? The fact that this part right here is illuminated means this should not be entered into evidence. If this part right here is entered into evidence at all, then it was planted. Then there is a conspiracy. It's undeniable. If that piece ever comes into evidence, well, I've seen the entire piece, and you will see it too in the upcoming weeks. I don't know when you're going to see it presented in court. I've seen it. I got to confess to this one. I've seen it. I've seen the whole thing. It's a jigsaw puzzle. They found I guess it was 45. I thought it was 35 pieces. And they put it together like a jigsaw puzzle with the exact dates where, and the person who found them. Like, it's crazy how this thing got 45 pieces. And That part right there, the littlest part, this part right here, that got entered into evidence, and you're going to see this on the last undocumented trip to Fairview Road. I believe it was February 18th by Michael Proctor. So Proctor, remember, he didn't document it. I don't know why he did this. To be perfectly honest with you, I struggle with this one. I'm like, why the fuck did they need to do all this taillight? Like, they could have just, they already had a cracked taillight. They could have just entered that part. Like, why do all it? They kept breaking it. Or maybe they forgot. I don't know what they did wrong. I don't know why they did this. But this part here, you're going to see gets entered into evidence. How do I know it's entered into evidence? Because again, it's clearly lit here. That little flat part on the bottom next to the sail is lit. It's functioning at 5:07. It's lit over here at 4:12 p.m. This is what, so it should be this part of the taillight. The plastic should not be off of it. This is the finished product days later. It's off. It's off. This part right here, that's the conspiracy. That's how you know that this was a frame job, that they did extra pieces, and you're going to see it's all coming out. So I understand some people might've been struggling with that this afternoon, right? When they saw that, trying to kind of figure out, like, wait a minute, is that snow? Don't go that route. It's not snow. It's the angle. It's the angle. The cop is directly behind the vehicle. He can only see to a certain point. He cannot see the side. He cannot see this part. This part, I bet you anything, fully intact. Fully intact at 8:25. Not intact days later. Therefore, she didn't do it. Mystery solved. Mystery solved. Because I know a lot of you were probably struggling with that when I first saw it, right? I was a little bit like, what the fuck? But I always know this guy, because Karen Reed didn't do it, so there's got to be an explanation. There has to be an explanation. There always is an explanation. These guys are shysters. They're going to try to manipulate and fool you. And they're just like, oh, we got one angle. Why is that the only angle? Why didn't they pull any surveillance video from the thousands of homes and businesses along Route 138 that Karen Reed drove that day from Canton to Dighton? They went all through the entire town of Stoughton. I don't know what comes after that. Easton, I think, comes after that. And then like Raynham and Taunton. Like they went by a million places. If they want video of Karen Reed's taillight with this part missing, if they want, they can get it 1,000,001 places, including the Canton Library. But they don't. The only video they've chosen to show you is a deceptive video directly behind the car that does not show the side of the taillight. The side of the taillight is not seen in that. So mystery solved. Mystery solved. This was deceptive on their part, because that's what you have to do when you're dishonest. You have to attempt to fool people. And that is what they've done here. And by the way, this is the best that they have. This is it. Like that's the whole thing. Now, the much stronger evidence is the stuff that we saw in the testimony. So we're going to start with, tonight we're going to go over the 3 Canton cops, the 3 blind mice. And we're going to listen to some of their testimony and what they showed in court. And we're going to see just how this taillight bullshit is all a lie. It's all a lie. But before we do that, let me read a couple turtle chats here. First one is from Gus. Sends $50 and says, fuck classy canines, a doggy daycare in Easton. They almost killed my dog. And after extensive surgery, they're denying any blame. Sorry about your dog. I cannot vouch for whether or not that's true or not. So please don't sue me. Classy canines. So I don't know. All I know is if you send me money, I'm going to read what you write, period. So that's how he feels. He sent me $50. I'm reading it. I do not necessarily endorse or share that opinion because I have never been there before and thus have no educated opinion on the matter. So thank you very much for the dono and good luck with your dog, Gus. Kelly and Mike sent $25 and says, congrats on your press pass. Go take your seat in that courtroom where you rightfully belong. We are all proud of you for all you've done for this case. P.S. Hi, Tina. All right, cool. Thank you, Kelly and Mike. Mandy sends $10 and says, what in the backwoods boondocks did these corrupt cops slither out of? Solo cops? A leaf blower? Is this some kind of hillbilly sitcom? I know, like I said on Howie today, I'm expecting Ashton Kutcher to just jump out at any point and just be like, you're punked, motherfucker. Oh, gotcha. You didn't really think this shit was real, did you? Like, I 50% chance that happens. Lori sends $10 on the Cash App $$ Uncle Turtle Boy, and says, get Bev some cough drops. Seriously. Well, then how can she talk in code? A lot of people are sending me messages that like, check out the code between loud, she coughs and then he does this. I'm not getting into that. I'm not going to follow. I'm not doing that, but I'm glad you guys, she should definitely fix her cough though. Chloe, I apologize. Jody sends $10 and says, from Chloe, let's fucking go. Absolutely. Let's effing go. Okay, cool. If anyone else wants to donate and have their message read, link is at the top for Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy. So we're going to start in order. There's, and by the way, so let's go back to Paul O'Keefe's thing here. Okay. So this is Paul O'Keefe in court looking at the video. Now, I guarantee Paul O'Keefe knew this was coming. Guaranteed. And this is like, he couldn't wait for this. They waited like they left us on a high note. Watch his reaction to this. Look at this. Look at, they're looking at it. Now look at that look he gives. Look at him staring at her. Look at him.
Lieutenant, we're going to need you back tomorrow.
He's just staring at her like, bitch, we gotcha. Like, look at that one more time. How do we get rid of that? Can I get rid of that part? Watch him. Look at him stare at her. Ready? He smiles like, gotcha.
Lieutenant, we're going to need you back tomorrow. We're going to break for today. Okay. So,
he hates her. He absolutely hates her. And, because he doesn't like, in his mind, he's got too much pride to admit he's been fooled. That's all this comes down to. It's embarrassing. I get it, to admit that you've been hanging out with the people who murdered. I mean, that's humiliating. Like, imagine swallowing that pill if you're Paul O'Keefe. Like, dude, I've been coming to court with the people who murdered my brother. Like, that's a tough one, man. That's embarrassing. That's humiliating. This guy's got a lot of pride. He doesn't have it in him to admit it. He can't do it. It's just not in him. It's much easier to be like, no, that can't be. He just can't come to terms with it. He can't. It's impossible. So he's just going to be mad at Karen instead. And he's been waiting for something. He's been waiting for like what? Because all the evidence that comes out in court's the opposite. And he's like, I finally got something. Look at that dash cam, bitch. Look at that shit. Gotcha. But it's really not. It's not, Paul. It's not what you think it is. It's the angle. It's really not brain surgery. Okay. So yeah. All right. So that's what we're going to start with Gallagher, who I was under the impression, people told me this guy's the straightest arrow of all the guys on here, but I think he's kind of a hack from what I've seen. So let's first check out how they examine the crime, how they examine the scene. So let's go back here. I think Lally questions him first. Hold on. All right, let's look at the crime scene first. Is that silent?
You could enlarge that. And Lieutenant, I don't believe that's the first photograph for you, but if you could locate that within
sure. I believe that's Exhibit 30.
If you could just describe to the jury what if anything, we're looking at in this.
So that is in front of 34 Fairview Road in Canton. It's looking westerly or the direction towards Chapman Street, and it's documenting the conditions at the time.
May I approach the witness room?
Yes.
Mr. Lieutenant, any points you ask?
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photograph, please.
So again, this is the crime scene. I don't know if they say what time this is taking place at. John's body was found right here. There's the fire hydrant. And then there's just some dude walking by. This is the crime scene. They, was it, Lily was Goode. I forget which one testified. I think it was Goode that testified that they all said they tried to put the caution tape up, but they just couldn't do it. And they didn't have any stakes. There are stakes at the Canton Police Department. So they couldn't keep they tried wrapping it around the tree. It just wasn't working. So, you know, is what it is. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't, you know, get that set up. So they just left the crime scene like this all day. Like people, it's random dudes just walking through it. A murder scene. With snow piling up and just whatever. And I don't see any cops here like monitoring it. According to 𝗵𝗂𝗧, it's impossible to plant taillight because there was cops there watching the scene all day. He always says that, and he doesn't cite where in what report it says officers were watching the scene all day. As it turns out, they're not. There was no one watching the scene from 8 a.m. on. And so there's just random people like this walking through it like this is normal.
That is simply documenting that the number 34 is on the mailbox. That is 30.
Okay. Let's get to
at the time I arrived.
And the next photograph is on.
So this is the totality of the blood from a guy who just bled out in the middle of the snow. They want us to believe that he got hit by a Lexus and he landed in the snow on grass and caused somehow that the snow grass caused a 3-inch laceration in the back of his head. Somehow, not sure how, but it did. And then he bled out. And this is the cleanup. This is all that's left. There's more blood from a bloody nose than this. When your kid falls off his bicycle, there is more blood than this. And they want us to believe a man bled out to death in the snow. And this is what was left over. Okay.
I believe that's Exhibit 31. And it's a close-up of where Mr. O'Keefe was found. And you can see the very light pink spotting that we thought may be blood. And there was an object in the center as well.
What's that?
Which we didn't know what it was at that time.
What was it?
Subsequent, did you learn what that object was?
Yes.
What did you learn?
It was a broken clear cocktail glass.
Oh, so he could notice the broken clear cocktail glass. That's interesting. So they could see that. It's clear. It's literally clear. It's the hardest thing to find. They could see that. I don't see any red taillight though. Do you got, or like a size 12 shoe? A black shoe, mind you, would probably be easier to find.
And the pink spot was frozen or coagulated blood.
And the next photograph is coming.
That's Exhibit 23. And it's basically showing that the scene was trampled by rescue workers, witnesses, etc. But you can still see, the pink spotting in the area where Mr. O'Keefe was.
As far as footprints within the snow that you observed, you indicated that the scene was trampled or walked over by first responders, correct?
Correct.
And the footprints that you observed, what footprints did you, what areas around where Mr. O'Keefe's, where it was indicated to you that Mr. O'Keefe's body was, where those footprints located?
They were located between the street and where Mr. O'Keefe was found.
All right.
And as far as between where Mr. O'Keefe was found and the house of residence at 34 Fairview, what, if any, footprints did you observe in that area?
I didn't observe any footprints at that time.
Let's go and plug it out to the next photograph, please.
What do we got here? What's this next picture?
That is Exhibit 24, and it's showing a westerly shot of the scene. So it's found.
Here's more. Again, look at this guy bled out.
This is Exhibit 27, and it's some what we believe was frozen or coagulated blood spotting.
Next photograph.
And that's a different view, close-up of the scene, and that's Exhibit 32.
And the next photograph.
That's when we first uncovered the berm, the 6-inch berm, and it's just a smaller picture close-up of that berm.
This is the curb, okay, and I don't see any red taillight there. I don't know about you guys.
The sort of uncovering of the berm as you described it. What, if anything, did you use to uncover that?
I believe we just used our foot to uncover that.
Oh,
that's the video I referred of. Stretching out the crime scene.
So
tape.
anyway,
You can see it flapping in the wind there.
Yep.
See it raised way up because of the wind.
Yep, the crime scene tape wouldn't work. Okay.
This is the crime scene tape here.
So I'm going to fast forward to the part where he starts searching the scene because this was the wild shit to me. This
was discovered.
This. All right. This was wild. Look at this. Look at this shit. I'd never seen this before. I mean, we all heard they use leaf blowers. And we later find out that this leaf blower came from Sergeant Goode's house. He just went home and got it. This is how they apparently in the academy learn how to, at a murder scene. They could be blowing shit around like it's crazy. But notice what you don't see anywhere. Red taillight or a size 12 shoe. And I've heard before, well, it was dark out. Don't look dark out here. It looks pretty daylighty. Pretty daylighty. Whereas at 5:45, when the state police CERT team comes, it's pitch dark. So again, I don't see any like a red taillight. There's like inch or two of snow tops here. Inch or two of snow. It would stand out like a sore thumb, a red piece of taillight.
Lieutenant Gallagher, do you recognize what's up on screen?
I do.
And what do you recognize?
It's me operating the leaf blower and at the scene where John O'Keefe was discovered.
And who is operating the leaf blower in these videos?
I am.
And who, if anyone else from your department, is sort of present while this process is going?
Detective Sgt Lank is documenting, and Sergeant Goode is also assisting.
And Ms. Gilman, thank you very much. If you could just play him out.
See, it removes the snow. I was removing the snow layer by layer. And right here, you can see it exposing the cocktail glass. You're going to see red spots appear as I remove it layer by layer. These pink spots start to turn to be dark red spots.
Where's the tail?
As you see, we can control it. We were concerned with whatever other.
Oh, hold on and wait for a question.
Look at this shit.
As you can see, it just takes it layer by layer.
Hold on for a second. Mr. Lally, Ms. Gilman, can you pause it? So if you have a question for the lieutenant, all right, you're asking him to narrate the whole thing. We're not going to do it that way. And you can pause and then question. It's great you're keeping your voice up over the sound of the leaf blower, but it's a little distracting.
I understand.
So do you have a question, Mr. Lally?
So what kind of thing were you doing with regard?
We were trying to take the snow that had fallen over the blood, and we were trying to remove it to expose the blood.
And let's say as far as during this sort of removal process,
you could control how much I wanted to sift.
Okay. Again, he's blowing the snow around. If there is any red taillight in that vicinity, they are going to find it. If there is a single piece of red taillight, you best believe that they are going to find it. It found the clear cocktail glass, didn't it? There's probably it's like light snow at this point. It's coming up, and if it's hidden under an inch of snow, they're going to find it. He's going to find the taillight. And what, if anything, he finds is just a bunch of just a bunch of cocktail glass. That's it. I mean, here's a good view. I mean, look at his foot. It's not even, it's like an inch of snow. Look at that. There's nothing there. So I want to get to the cross-examination of this guy.
Right, so we're still in session. So in presenting the exhibits, For
Proctor, this is me with the gray shirt, dress shirt walking in. That's me right there.
So this is them messing with the taillight.
And that's Trooper Proctor, I believe, the photographer or another criminologist.
And what day is
I don't
this?
know what their title is.
What day is this?
Now,
This Proctor.
at some point during the execution of the search warrants, what if any issues did you become aware of with regard to the criminals?
They were having trouble. They were trying to remove the housing to the taillight, passenger side taillight, and they were having difficulty removing it.
And what if any assistance did you offer with regard to that?
I told them that we had an officer working who was in charge of our fleet maintenance and our mobile operations unit who probably had the tools to do it. He also had vast experience.
All right. So this is, what's the date on this? I don't even know. Doesn't really matter. I just want to hear what he says about the how defensive this guy gets there in cross-examination.
Yes.
I mean, you've been trained on how to do that.
Right.
But for purposes of this question, assuming that he's over 6 feet tall, there's a
I don't know who you're referring to.
formal interview by any law enforcement agency. Never formally interviewed you about your involvement in the case.
No, sir. I believe it was the request for the metadata, the acquisition of the photos report.
Okay. Giving them information that you had about which you had no personal knowledge, correct? There's if you use that instead of inches using meters, right?
Yeah, we don't employ that process.
Oh, whether you're correct.
Correct.
You also contacted Brian Albert's neighbor, someone by the name of Tom Keller, correct?
That is correct.
And you wanted to let him know that you were responding over to the scene.
Yes, he was the lieutenant in charge of detectives at the time.
Lieutenant in charge of detectives.
We process our own crime scenes. Sometimes we use the state police. Sometimes we use Plymouth County detectives.
So say the state police are setting them aside because they were not tasked on this call.
That's basically what we did prior to searching the scene itself.
With regard to Sgt Lank, you told him to make sure that we had statements, your words, we had statements from all the witnesses that were at the scene.
Initial statements, yes.
Does that mean the people inside the house?
Yes.
Maybe people across the street, if there were people across the street?
No, it didn't include them at the time. It included people that were involved from the prior night's incident outing, I would call it.
At the time that you tasked Sgt Lank with this responsibility, did you know personally that you were standing on the property of Brian Albert?
I did.
Did you also know that Sgt Lank had an ongoing and a long-time relationship with the Albert family?
Objection.
Did you know that?
I know he knew them. I think you're mischaracterizing the relationship.
Did you see a problem with having somebody who knew the parties taking the initial statements from those parties?
I'm not at all. Sgt Lank, no issue at all.
Not in your mind?
Not in my mind.
Were you aware that before you got to the location, Sgt Lank?
So he's like, I see no conflict here. No, they investigated themselves and they found out they have no bias. So that's a theme here. These guys would never, ever, ever say anything negative about the other one.
And taken it upon himself to already make contact with the individuals in the house?
Objection.
Can we
Sidebar.
see you at sidebar, please?
Okay, so then they do a sidebar.
Was wind blowing from all directions.
Yes.
There was snow falling.
Yes.
It was icy cold out.
Yes.
There was already snow accumulated on the ground, about 4 inches, you said.
At least it was different spots because of the wind drifts.
Wouldn't that be even more of a reason in a potential homicide investigation to adequately preserve the scene as best you possibly could?
Of course.
Wouldn't you want to, for instance, protect the area? You mentioned a tent.
Yes.
Wouldn't you want to make sure that anybody from the civilian side and or officers don't just start traipsing through the middle of the crime scene?
That was all done.
As a matter of fact, the first responders the EMTs had already.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to. I don't have timestamps here, so I'm gonna.
Fair enough. Does it read the highlighted portion and tell me whether that refreshes your recollection about a conversation you had with Lieutenant 𝗄𝗄𝗄𝗧𝗂𝗏 about the tent?
Okay, I didn't have,
Read it to yourself.
It's not accurate, correct?
Is there anything else that?
It's not accurate. It's not.
I drove to Canton PD headquarters to retrieve a tent to protect the area where O'Keefe was found from falling snow, but never used the tent due to high winds.
We didn't have a tent at that time.
That wasn't my question. I'm being very specific. Did you say that to Lieutenant 𝗄𝗏?
No, that was misinterpreted.
Okay, so if he got that, if that's in his report, that's incorrect.
It's not accurate, correct?
And putting up crime scene tape.
Correct.
All right, and if somebody had, how many of those sets of prints did you see?
I don't recall.
Did you photograph or seek to have anybody else photograph the area from the scene to the house?
Just those long shots that you saw in the exhibits.
Cup you drink beer out of a barbecue?
Yeah, sure, you could. Objection, Your Honor. That's right.
I'll allow it.
There's nothing special about the red solo cup?
Other than their plastic, nothing special.
And where did you get those red solo cups?
We got them from Lieutenant Gallagher.
So in other words, you got.
I mean, this is humiliating. They got Lieutenant Gallagher, who lives across the street, whose ring camera just didn't work that night. Just provided them with red solo cups to collect evidence. I've never heard of anything like this before. Like blood evidence in a murder trial. You understand how ridiculous we look to the rest of the world watching this right now? Well, not we, the town. I don't live in Canton, but the Canton Police Department looks criminally incompetent as a result of this. Criminally incompetent.
To use your words, the evidence containers from a neighbor.
Correct.
He had some solo cups in his house.
We asked him if he had any plastic containers, any type of plastic container that we could utilize.
How far were you from Canton PD? From 34 Fairview to Canton PD?
Yeah.
Give me an idea.
They could have gone there.
Sterile
And gone.
swab is in a container that's long, and the
They were sealed in a bag, brown.
practice for a police department to borrow red solo cups from a neighbor to gather evidence.
Objection.
You can go ahead and answer that, Lieutenant.
Of course not.
Of course,
Nothing about the scene was standard.
Right.
nothing about the scene was standard.
The glass shard. I'll touch on the solo cups in just a second, but I want to talk about the glass shard of the drinking glass. Were you the one that found the drinking glass?
I was operating the leaf blower and uncovered the glass, yes.
So you were the first one. Well, I guess you couldn't tell me if you're the first one, but you noticed it pretty quick.
I wouldn't say it was quick, but we uncovered it.
Okay. Black in color.
No.
You actually dug out a portion of you didn't dig it out, you moved it with your foot.
Actually.
As you were using that snowblower and you uncovered the glass cup and more of the blood samples, at any point, did you see a size 12 men's shoe black in color?
No.
No. No size 12 shoe.
Point, did you see a man's baseball hat black in color?
No.
No baseball hat.
You dug out a portion of you didn't dig it out, you moved it with your foot, or somebody did, portion of the berm or the curb that separates the street from the yard, correct?
That is correct.
At any point along that curb line, did you see a men's shoe?
Along the exposed curb line, no.
Did you see it anywhere else?
No.
And you didn't see a hat
Because that's where they found the shoe, was along the curb line.
anywhere else?
No.
You didn't see any bright red taillight material anywhere else?
I did not.
You did not see any clear taillight material?
I did not.
You did not see any black plastic material? No. You certainly didn't see 45 pieces of plastic material?
I did not.
If you found a broken glass, if you find
And again, I brought this up in a tweet yesterday, and I'll say it again. How are they not more mad at the state police? Like, how are they not? Like, I would be like, what the fuck? The state police are out here making us look retarded. Like, we searched the scene. It was broad daylight, less than an inch of snow. We didn't see any shoes or 45 pieces of taillight, but the state police came along in darkness with 18 inches of snow that had fallen, and they found all that shit, all of it. Like, how are they not like the state police are basically calling the Canton police retarded. Like, there's no other way to put it. They're like, you guys are fucking stupid. You guys are just incompetent and blind, and you missed. Like, how do they not have pride? How do they not, how are they not loudly saying, no, motherfucker, no, 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 no. It's like he doesn't want to admit, no, there's nothing there. He doesn't want to admit it. Like, he's just like, nope, there's nothing there. Like, I would be like, and that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. That there's no conspiracy, that there is a conspiracy, that there was no taillight at the scene. Is because they didn't find it. Because they always say, like, what's the evidence against Kearney? Well, there's taillight at the scene. When? Not according to every Canton police officer. Not one of them saw taillight. Not one of them heard Cameron Reed say, I did it. Nothing.
Find a broken glass on somebody's yard in a situation like this. Did that seem out of place to you?
They were coming from a bar. It didn't seem totally out of place, no.
At the time that you found the broken glass, would you rationally think, well, maybe the rest of this glass is inside the residence?
No.
You did not think that?
No, there was a reason that I didn't think that.
Did you think that, well, let me ask you this. Did you ever go inside the house to search for the other part of the glass?
Absolutely not.
Because you made up your mind initially where that glass came from.
Objection.
You can answer that, sir.
No.
Did you search the house for any other matching glasses?
No.
Matter of fact, you didn't search the house for any physical items, did you?
Of course not.
Of course.
That's because that house belonged to a Boston police.
See that part? That's how I knew this guy was going to get sassy when he goes, of course not. What do you mean? Of course we didn't search the house? Like, he knew that he was going to be asked, why didn't you search the house? He's like, of course not. Do you even police, dude? Do you even like, hello, I'm a cop. Like, red solo cups, leaf blower, pretty standard. Like, rookie. Of course not. Of course not. Of course we didn't go in the house. Like, oh, sorry. Pardon me. to assume that finding a dead body on the lawn next to broken cocktail glass and a real lack of blood, and he's wearing one shoe, somehow is not like enough to get you to search the house. He's like, of course not. They're mad about this. They've been stewing over this one for a while. It's like all these motherfuckers out there, they think they're real police. They think they know how to police, but they don't know shit. That's not how it works. You can't just search a house because there's a dead body on your front lawn. There's a dead body on my front lawn. I'm pretty sure they're coming to my house. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They searched my house. They got there was probable cause and to search my house, rip it apart, go through my kids' underwear drawers and shit. Like they went through everything. They took all my devices on October 11th, all of this. What was the probable cause to do all that? Well, they claimed that the things I was saying on my YouTube show was witness intimidation. The out of context clips that they used from my show was witness intimidation. And where did I commit this alleged witness intimidation? Well, they determined that I did it in my house because they were watching a stream where I was driving back from the Canton Board of Selectmen meeting back to Holden. And I was like, oh, I'm on 495 now. And now I'm on the Pike or whatever. I was like showing, he's like, and then that road takes you to Holden. So he must have been back there. So they considered my basement the scene of the crime. This is the lair of the witness intimidation. So we need to search his house, which is fucking ridiculous because it's not like there's physical evidence lying around. Like there's like blood or some shit you need to search the house for. It's just like, yeah, I happen to broadcast from here. If I commit the witness intimidation at the public library, you're going to search that too. Like, what are you looking for? It was just an excuse to ransack my house. That's all it was. And so again, probable cause bar to get a warrant if you're the police. If any police goes to a judge and wants a probable cause to search someone's house, it's not hard. Ask me about it. They ransack my house over a YouTube show. That's it. And I'm not exaggerating. If you're new here, go back about 7 months. I got jacked up by the police. I got arrested in front of my kid's bus, and they searched my house, and we got the affidavit for the warrant that was submitted by Tully to search my house, and that was the probable cause. That I did a YouTube show from my basement, and they can just take it over. Okay? Now, and they got I think it was Judge O'Shea signed off on that warrant. Because judges trust police. When police come to them, and this is one thing I've learned in the criminal justice system, when police file a criminal complaint, judges just kind of rubber stamp it. Probable cause bar is really low. You got a dead body on your front lawn? Oh, it doesn't get much lower than that. You go in front of any judge, they're going to sign off on that warrant in 5 seconds. Or you can just ask them. If you're this guy, Gallagher, or Goode or Lank, and you're like, yeah, you know Brian from the cookout, and you're like, yeah, Brian, I know you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to do with this, but you mind if we have a look around, just so they don't, some hotshot attorney from LA comes down here and accuses us of, giving you special treatment. We don't want to you mind if we just search around? We'll be out of here in 5 minutes. No problem. Just let us take a search. They don't do that. They don't even ask. They don't ask. They just determine themselves that there's not enough probable cause, which is not their call to make. It's a judge will decide that.
No, it's because it requires probable cause, as you know, which we did not have.
Or at least you didn't think you had at that time.
We knew we didn't have it.
Oh, you knew? Did you seek it from a judge?
I'm familiar with what probable cause is.
Did you seek a probable cause warrant from a judge?
No, I did not.
I'm familiar with what probable cause is. Then why do police even need to ask a judge to sign a warrant then? Can't you just sign it? You know what probable cause is, right? No. He is just trying to come up with a way to defend the Canton Police Department's gross criminal incompetence here. Red Solo cups, normal. Normal. Leaf blower, normal. Not searching a house if there are dead bodies on the lawn, normal. It's all normal. You wouldn't understand.
Did you ask for consent to search the house?
We wouldn't do consent, and that's a death investigation.
That was my question.
No, I did not.
Okay. Is that because you were at the house of a Boston police officer?
No, it's because we wouldn't do it, because if consent is denied, we still don't have probable cause, and we still couldn't search the house.
But you never asked, did you?
Never asked.
Nope.
According to your interview with Lieutenant Tully, after going to the scene the first time, you then returned back to Canton Police Department, correct?
Yes,
At that point, you remember having a conversation with Chief 𝗵𝗂𝗺𝗺, correct?
that is correct.
And you indicated that having that conversation with Chief 𝗵𝗂𝗺𝗺, that was about Canton Police Department recusing themselves.
Not doing any further investigative interviews, yes.
And you indicated actually in that conversation that you agreed with Chief 𝗵𝗂𝗺𝗺 that Canton should be recused, correct?
He agreed with me.
It was your assessment that the recusal should take place,
Yes, it was.
and he agreed.
That is correct.
Okay. And the reason for that recusal was because of the relationship between the Albert family and the Canton Police Department.
Yes.
No.
What?
What was the reason
It's not Kevin Albert is literally the reason, but go ahead.
for the recusal?
The reason was we had a Boston police officer on another Boston police officer's lawn or property, and that property owner was the brother of somebody in our investigative unit.
Oh, so it was. It's literally, it quite literally was. It's like you just did you listen to the question? I'm nuts. Oh my goodness gracious.
That's one way to put it. Another way to put it would be because of the Albert family having a relationship with the Canton Police Department.
Right.
It has to do with Detective Albert having a relationship with his family.
Right.
Okay. So who's in the Canton Police Department? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Or the other side of that is his family having a relationship with the Canton Police Department.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Go ahead. Move on, please.
What time was that conversation with Chief 𝗵𝗂𝗺𝗺?
It was after 8 a.m. when we got back to the police department.
You then traveled back to 34 Fairview to interview the homeowners with Sgt Lank.
Sergeant Lank was doing the interviews, yes, but I accompanied him.
Okay. Approximately what time did you arrive? What was your your professional interaction with Brian Albert before you walked into that house that day?
Previously?
Correct.
So in general, as a detective, he was with the fugitive unit at one point. He was helpful when we had a fugitive we needed to apprehend in Boston, things of that nature, job-related things.
Had you ever, for lack of a better phrase, hung out with Brian Albert?
Not a day.
Never socialized with him?
No,
never.
Not intentionally. It's possible if I went to a retirement party, could he have been present? Possibly, but not that I'm aware.
But you had no social relationship with him?
Zero.
Sounds like he was at 𝗵𝗂𝗺𝗺's party and he's trying to get out from under that one.
You indicated that there were 5 or 6 people inside the house, including Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe.
Yes, that is correct.
So you clearly knew those 2 people.
I didn't know Jen McCabe. I know that Sergeant Lake was going to speak with her, but I didn't know her personally. I never had a call.
You said that there were, other than Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe, there were 3 or 4 other people in the house. Were those 3 or 4 other people in the house at the time that John O'Keefe was found dead or dying on the lawn?
I don't have the answer to that.
Did you think that might have been an important thing to find out?
Again, I didn't think of that at that time,
Yeah.
and I didn't think it was important at that time. I knew that Sergeant Lank had already interviewed people in the house.
You had what you knew at that time, Lieutenant, was you had an officer, a Boston police officer, who was either dead or dying on the front lawn of a house with a bunch of occupants, and you didn't think that it was necessary to investigate or interview those occupants yourself?
No, I did not. At that time, I wanted to not participate in investigative interviews.
You did tell Lieutenant Tully in your interview with him, you volunteered that Brian Higgins was not present when you went back to the house, correct?
I didn't believe he was.
On the front lawn.
Objection.
Go ahead and answer that, sir.
I can't answer that question. I had no conversation with Brian Higgins, so I don't recall. I don't know how he roamed. He's a very private person. But it's numbered 1, 1A, and 2.
So he would be on 2, 3 physical floors up. Correct.
Okay. So let me fast forward here to this part. Let's see.
The evidence bag. Then you saw him go in the truck.
That's correct.
And at that point, you don't have any personal information about what happened. So that's personal observations.
Would, yes.
You knew that the vehicle had been in that Southport since January 29th. The condition of that vehicle immediately when it was. So Canton Police Department was, in fact, at your authority, given permission to manipulate that light in terms of pulling it out of the SUV, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Canton Police Department.
Log, yes.
Is there any log, Lieutenant Gallagher, of these items being booked into the temporary evidence locker?
There should be.
We're going
but
to
I don't
fast
know for a
forward
fact.
to
But
this part. Okay. Here we go.
Just 37. Throughout the record, we were just speaking about.
And by the way, look at this. Like, as you can see here, it's like, it's just, you notice you can't see the other side of the taillight. Again, you can't see it. So this is what the dash cam would see.
Item 37.
Okay.
Let's move to looking at 38.
Here it is.
Does that appear to be the same rag in the photograph?
It does, yes.
Okay. You see a shadow sort of looming over the top of the photograph?
I do.
Given what you just said about evidence item 37, does that appear to be the shadow of the right rear quarter panel of the truck?
I would guess it's the tailgate.
So you can't guess.
I would say it was the tailgate. The tailgate's up, maybe the tailgate's up at this point.
You see a bag in the middle of the photograph.
Yes.
You read what's on that bag.
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop.
Bag, does it, sir?
No.
Matter of fact, it looks like a grocery bag.
Correct.
All right?
Yes.
So not a forensically stable item, correct?
Correct.
Certainly not sterile.
Correct. Correct.
You know where that bag came from?
I do not.
Was that bag that you supplied to Sergeant Lank?
I do not know. Do not recall.
Lank got the Stop and Shop bag.
I do not know.
Next photograph, please. Take a look at what's been marked as evidence item 39.
It's just, I mean, it's just amazing. This is, I mean, they don't like, this is blood found at the sign of, at the place of a murder. Like, what if there was a struggle there and the blood belongs to someone else? Like, suppose Karen Reed got out of a car and smashed him over the head with a cocktail glass and cut herself in the process. If that's her blood, like that blood is really important, like really important. You could like get her on that. And it's just sitting there. Like, and by the way, they didn't know when they first got there what this was. They didn't think Karen Reed ran him over. Not a single cop put in their police report anything about I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Nobody. Had they thought that, they would have detained her. Something, brought her down for questioning, arrested her even. And so they had no idea that this was a motor vehicle homicide. It certainly wasn't a drug overdose. So wouldn't you believe he got into some sort of fight? And so why immediately were the people in the house considered just witnesses and not potential suspects? Riddle me that. But this is how they handle evidence.
Recognize what's in the middle of the photograph.
Yes.
What is that?
Those are the plastic cups with the coagulated blood.
You see on the top of the photograph, same rag?
I do.
With the same markings?
Yes.
It appears that those unsealed cups with liquid blood in them are situated right near the right rear quarter panel of the SUV. In this photograph?
They are to the rear of the vehicle. Yes.
And next item, please. And this appears to be evidence item 41. I'm sorry, 40. You see the same white rag.
Yes.
And you see the same evidence bag. I'm sorry, Stop and Shop bag, correct?
Correct.
And it's filled with 6 solo cups.
Correct.
With what appears to be liquid blood.
Correct.
Does that photograph appear to be taken at or about the same place near the right rear quarter panel of the SUV?
It's actually, I would say that the mat is the mat to the entrance to the booking area. So that is probably a couple of feet behind the vehicle.
Okay. Let's go back to evidence item number 37. The first photograph.
Can use the marker here. This appears to me to be the rear tire, which would put this a couple of feet behind the vehicle.
Understood.
All right. So that's basically what we get out of him. So he was real defiant. Gallagher was about like, he was just real cunty about the house thing. Like about, he went into this real defensive about the house thing. That's what I took from him. And we kind of see in the attempts to defend this ridiculous, like way of collecting evidence. Like, is this how they always do? How can they convict anyone in town? Like, you don't need Alan Jackson to point out how ridiculous this gathering of evidence was and how inappropriate and not by the book it was. So we're going to get to good next. Let me read a couple turtle chats while we're here. $10 from Kay says, congrats on your pass today. Definitely deserved it. You were in a bad spot because you were too good at your job, so they put you in jail, but you focused on what you could control, and now you're doing even more amazing. We appreciate, and justice is coming for Karen and John, and next, Sandra Birchmore. Absolutely. Justice for Sandra Birchmore. A lot of the same players, especially Michael Lank was involved in that one. Michael Lank and Nicholas Carino also involved in that one, and Kevin Albert also involved in that joke of an investigation. So I appreciate that. Again, I'm happy to be in the courthouse. Would have liked, obviously, to be a spectator in there, but I actually would rather be in the media. I'd much rather be in the media. So, I'm in my rightful spot. Now, I'm sure they're going to try some shit. Like, Grant is losing his mind. Not that he has any influence or anything like that. I'm told he's down there already. Like, somebody went down there tonight. He's sleeping there tonight. So I'm going to get there. I'm going to have to get there real early tomorrow. Real early. Whatever. It's going to be worth it, though. It's going to be worth it. But, all right, cool. Let's go on to the next turtle chat here. From Mary since 25 says, thanks for the great coverage of this case. I haven't had a chance to watch all your coverage, so I apologize if this wasn't pointed out. If you watch the Ring doorbell footage at slower speed of Karen backing out of the garage, you can see the tail light change from red to white upon impact of John's car. Was that talked about already? No, I haven't noticed that. Maybe we'll watch that a little bit later. So thank you very much for that, Mary. Appreciate that, and welcome aboard. Ann sends $25. No comment. Thank you, Ann. Trevor sends $20, says, I hate asking repetitive questions, but who do you think is coaching the witnesses? 𝗳𝗄𝗃 or Proctor? However, always have a proud supporter. Keep up the great work. I'm not sure if that is missing like a comma or something, but who's coaching the witnesses? Adam Lally is, and McLaughlin and Michael Morrissey. They're coaching the witnesses. All these people knew exactly, like they obviously talk about what their testimony beforehand, and they set them up for what they consider softball questions. So Andrea sends $5, says, I hope the defense team comes prepared to court tomorrow with their scissors. I couldn't believe Auntie Bev gave Yannetti shit today about that. I know her. But then again, of course she would. Free Karen Reed. Thank you very much, Andrea. Crystal sends $5 and says, look at the light when they lift the tailgate in the Sally port. Looks like half the light is on the tailgate and half is on the body. Tailgate part looks fine. I have to check that again. Thank you, Crystal. Leighton sends $10 and says, great work, Turtle Boy. Keep it going. Free Karen Reed. Thank you, Leighton. Bob sends $10 and says, Turtle Boy was probably, don't need any more evidence that Karen Reed's innocent, but don't you think the phone records at fat retired 𝗵𝗂𝗺 and acting police chief Crash Rafferty from the day of John's murder would be revealing? Rafferty skating away under the radar again. 𝗵𝗂𝗺 now playing too sick to testify. Yeah, probably. Probably. I'd like to see those phone records. I'd like to see Brian Alberts too. Michelle sends $25 and says, my ex has been a detective for over 15 years and has worked with the state police a lot. He's adamant they would have sent an investigative unit to partner with Canton police that morning to collect evidence even before knowing John had died. They would have never declined responding to the scene, which I believe Lank said they did. Yeah, that's true. They, according to the district attorney, Michael Proctor did not go to the scene that day, did not go to 34 Fairview Road, which is madness, like madness. I believe Lank said they did. He is horrified by the solo cups. I mean, and stop and shot bag. Who isn't? I'm glad to hear other cops are equally horrified by this because it's absolutely freaking ridiculous. So thank you there for the turtle chats. Got a couple cash apps to bang through here. Grant's mom. Oh, Grant's mom sent $20 and says, Grant sucks. Yikes. Mary Schmidt sends $20 and says, I think we got this one at a quarter speed, the light on the red to white upon impact. Thank you, Mary. Gene sends $10 and says, Paul already seen that video. That was planned. He 100% saw that video and he couldn't wait to just stare Karen Reed down when that happened. Scott sends $20 and says, please wear the pink tuxedo shirt to court. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I just got a text, by the way, that says Grant is saying that the line is already full at the courthouse. How is that possible? How is that possible? No. They're all going to sleep there. No, I'm getting in tomorrow, period. I am getting in tomorrow. I'm not putting up with that shit. You don't just get to be like, well, I'm going to come here and put my seat and then go back to bed and I'll be here at 6 tomorrow. No. First come, first serve, period. If you sleep there, I'll give you credit for it. Ain't going to happen. Like the placeholders bullshit. No. That's bullshit. Bullshit. So he's sending me this. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. He says breaking news. I'm going to show you. I know we shouldn't give this idiot any attention, but I just want to see what it says. Because he really doesn't want me coming there tomorrow. Like, because he's not a real journalist. He's obviously not a serious person at all. And is this another message people are sending me about? Yeah. So let's see what he posted. All right. So it says here, breaking news. I'll just make it full screen. It is 12 hours before Wednesday's hearing for accused murderer Karen Reed. Someone must have told the networks to use spot savers I am number 1. Canton Community is number 3. 7 News, WCVB, Court TV, Gretchen Voss. So again, if they're doing if Gretchen Voss is not there tomorrow when I get there and her spot saver is there, I will be moving it. Just understand that I will be moving it. There will be no spot savers. I will not be putting up with that, period. I mean, this is not how it's going to work. First come, first serve. This ain't, not going to happen. Not going to happen, period. Not going to happen. You might think it's going to happen, but it's not. Like, it will be moved, okay? That's the regular pool, so that's good. It seems Dr. Turtleboy did not make it. I get bad news for you, Grant. I'm getting in the court tomorrow. Looks like it's going to be a night camping out with me and the camera people. Okay. So he doesn't go tonight. Are you going to sleep out every night of the trial? If that's what it takes. This is how bad these losers want. And then, bro, you're acting like I can't camp out. Grant, how will you be handling your body odor issue? That's a great question. We'll see. We'll see. So again, turtle derangement syndrome is a very real thing, folks. I don't know why I do this. I do this to people. I make people fucking crazy. Like, I don't mean to. I don't know why people, I don't know why I have so many accounts dedicated to me. Like this, they're literally doing this all to try to keep me out. That's it. Like, for what reason, I don't know. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just trying to report on the case, but they don't want me there because it legitimizes me as a reporter, and they hate that. They hate that more than anything. Ooh, do they hate that? So, let's see. We also have here, Sandra sends, nope, not reading that. Okay. If you send $1.47, I will not be reading your chat. Just understand that. Scott sends $20 and says, please wear the pink tuxedo shirt to court. Absolutely. Well, no, I'm not doing that. What am I talking about? It's like, I'm trying to be serious here. I'm trying to be taken seriously. Wendy sends $30 and says, thank you for all you do. You are the man. Thank you very much, Wendy. Tammy sends $15 and says, tell my sister Stacy and Ken I love them. You heard that, sister? All right, cool. So those are the cash apps. Let me see here. Do we have any more turtle chats? One more from Stop and Shop. Brown paper bag says, my boyfriend is a firefighter and was talking to a coworker who doesn't follow the case. He showed him the autopsy photos and his coworker paramedic immediately said it was an animal attack. Everybody and their mother, when they look at those, knows it's an animal attack because it was, period. Those are dog bites from Chloe. End of story. So let's go back and listen. If anyone else wants to donate, the link for Turtle Chat is pinned to the top of the chat, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy. Let's get back to the show. Sergeant Goode. He's up next.
Officer Sarif and Officer Deborah.
And in addition to, let me ask it this way. So when you're performing those duties in the Canton Police Station, where are you sort of?
Hold on. All right. So we haven't heard this. There's 2 911 calls. There's the Kerry Roberts call, and she goes around calling hospitals and whatnot, looking for John. And then there's the Jennifer McCabe call. We've already heard the Jennifer McCabe call from one perspective in the back of John's car, but we haven't heard the actual audio, and this audio blows. So.
Hi, my name is Karen. I'm calling because my friend's boyfriend did not come home last night. We were at the waterfall, and now she is calling me hysterical because she doesn't know where he is. You didn't post anybody up by the name of John O'Keefe, did you? John O'Keefe. Yeah, he's about to call, and he'll be on phone, but. No. He probably another guy and tapped at his own house. I don't know, but. Yeah, no, we didn't want anybody else or anything like that. And where does he live? He lives on Meadow. That's the problem. He lives on Meadow? Okay, and where so why won't you say he grew up? Yeah, they were out having And especially when we got home at some point and we never did.
Yeah.
And so I said to her, you know, my husband.
Did I hear microdots clean this up? Is that true? Can we listen to the microdots? All right. Is that true? Can we go? Let's check out microdots, see if he's got a cleaned up version of it. All right. Let's see. Videos. No, I don't see anything here on microdots. Did he tweet out something? Did microdots tweet something out that I missed? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know. Wait, where can I get it? People are saying yes. You got it. Send it to me. Send it to me. Send it to me. I know this is excruciating. Oh, does anybody have it? Okay, it's on microdots Twitter. So let me go to microdots Twitter. All right, micro dots. Let me pull it up over here. Because we got to listen to this. Microdot's killing it. Almost 5,000 followers. Good for you. Is this it? Here it is. So this is Kerry Roberts' call.
Hi, my name is Karen. I'm calling because my friend's boyfriend did not come home last night. We were at waterfall. And now she is calling me hysterical because she doesn't know where he is. You didn't push anybody outside the name of 𝗺𝗵𝗃, did you?
𝗺𝗵𝗃.
Yeah, he's the Boston cop and will be on foot, so.
No.
He probably doesn't ride and tapped at his own house. I don't know, but.
Yeah, no, we didn't want anybody else or anything like that. And where does he live?
He lives on Meadow, downtown.
He lives on Meadow, off Pleasant. Okay, and where? So back home, you said his girlfriend?
With his girlfriend, yeah, they were out having drinks, and then she left. And expected him to come home at some point, and he never did.
Yeah.
And so I said to her, you know, my husband had been out with her earlier in life, but then he obviously came home. And he has custody with me to nephew because their parents passed away.
Okay.
And so she's home with the niece and nephew, but they're old enough to be home. It's just she's nervous because he never even happened.
Yeah.
So she's like, I feel like something happened. And I said, okay. Well, so probably you're in hospital, so you'll be having after today, you probably. Somehow take him out of the doctor. I don't know.
Yeah, wait, did he drive out there?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, I think, well, again, it's more, it would be good money. You would have to, call in a conversation, talk to us, but I mean, that's right now, it's more, you just get home, I just see this comment, but that's what
No, that's why. That's what she did. She telling me. That's kind of why she's more freaking out. So I think I called the hospital. I said, call Canton police to make sure I take a look at it. Doctor who's after them, that's people. If anybody puts it on.
Yeah.
Can't we have people in time?
Yeah, no. But at the end of the day, I was like, but I mean, I'm getting all things like that. I'm not interested.
All right, so that was pointless. So basically, Kerry Roberts is just decides to take it upon herself to try to make herself useful, and doesn't, as usual. So, Kerry Roberts is a very stupid person, obviously. She's another one that's going to have some soul searching to do after this, after realizing that she has been hanging out with and befriending people who killed her friend John. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Okay, so let's we'll just skip that part. Is the Jen McCabe audio in here? I can't even listen to it. I can't do it. I cannot do it. How this freaking audio is so bad. Like, this is the best that they could do. I can't do it. So we're not going to do it. So we're going to skip that part because we've already heard the 911 call. And by the way, they did this thing. They showed them. Obviously, this is what the media is going to get a hold of is her mom crying. I get it. It's tough to hear. But this is the sort of they're directly facing the jury too. They're directly facing the jury. And Bev Canoni did not allow this in the Michael Chestnut trial. Did not allow it. But she allowed it in this one. So take from that what you will.
Lieutenant Gallagher and Detective Sergeant Lank.
Why that?
Just policy, the seriousness of the call. Lieutenant Gallagher was
We're gonna
the.
go back to this.
Sort of still frame up here on the screen.
So here's dash cam video. There's Jen McCabe doing what she always does, talking to police.
Thank you very much.
There's Saraf is there, Mulaney, and Goode. All right, I want to get to the part
So,
where
Sergeant, you
Alan
arrive on
Jackson.
scene in that area.
Look at all these people outside. Nobody sees anything in the house. Somehow this doesn't wake Brian Albert up. All this shit. Look at that. None of this wakes. Not only does it not wake Brian Albert up, it doesn't wake the dog up. Like the dog is not at all startled. This aggressive, dog that has all this drive is just not like there's all these people outside, strangers on the dog's property, and the dog's just not barking at all. I mean, are you kidding me? That nobody woke up. No lights on in the house. Nothing.
Right there. Now, the area that you were speaking about before, is this sort of the portion of the video?
Yes.
And using the laser pointer, if you could direct the jury's attention to the portion of the
All right, so we're going to go to this part.
John O'Keefe was found on Brian Albert's front lawn that the Canton police had recused themselves from the case, correct?
At some point, I was notified after I finished all my paperwork. Yeah.
And what was your understanding of the recusal decision in terms of what the Canton police was either allowed to do or not?
Well, he had passed away, so now no matter what, it's state police investigation. It's a homicide. We do not investigate homicides.
Well, you've been a Canton police officer for 18 years, correct?
Yes.
During those 18 years, do you know how many homicide investigations have occurred in Canton?
None.
None?
Homicides, no. I was involved in none.
That the department was involved.
I can't think off the top of my head, no.
So in the 18 years, this is the first homicide that your department's been involved in, to your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that although the state police have primary jurisdiction, they work hand in hand with local departments, usually, unless there's a conflict of interest?
Yes.
So in this case, you learned that there was a conflict of interest. And my question to you is, what did that mean in terms of your potential involvement in the investigation once that conflict was determined?
Sustained.
Were you the primary investigator for the Canton Police Department as of February 1st?
No.
No.
Well, his close friend, Chief 𝗵𝗂𝗺𝗺, was your boss on January 29th of 2022, correct?
His close friend?
Yeah, Brian Higgins' close friend, Chief 𝗵𝗂𝗺, was your boss on January 29th of 2022.
Okay.
And does okay mean yes?
Yes.
And you worked the midnight shift that day as well?
No.
What was your shift?
I took it off.
Were you assigned to dispatch that day?
The night of the incident?
Yes.
No, I stayed inside. I was inside.
Inside where?
The dispatch. I handle all the calls, send the other.
Right, that was my question. I'm sorry if I'm not being clear.
I don't remember him coming in, or just did I see him on the cameras walking down the hallway? We have numerous, I think we have 7 or 8 monitors in front of me that I'm able to watch people around our building.
So it could be that you just saw information at 1:30 in the morning that John O'Keefe was out on Brian Albert's front lawn at that time, correct?
Correct.
And when Brian Higgins entered the department, that was the first time you had seen him on either the 28th or the 29th, correct?
Correct.
And this is again at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes. Say yes or no.
Yes.
Brian Higgins enters the Canton Police Department at 1:30 in the morning after spending all day in New York City, and then coming back in a snowstorm with Brian Albert and going to the waterfall bar and going out and drinking. And then at 1:30 in the morning, he goes into the Canton Police Department to establish an alibi. That's what he was doing there, right? And Goode sees him there, and that's not odd to him.
You didn't know where he was coming from?
No.
You didn't know what he had done that night?
Absolutely not.
You didn't know who he had been with that night?
No.
This was a Friday night into early Saturday morning with a major blizzard forecast?
Correct.
It already started snowing?
Yes.
It was supposed to get worse?
Yes.
Was it unusual to see Brian Higgins come into the station at 1:30 a.m. on a weekend?
No.
And you don't recall how close
No?
you got to him?
No.
Are you able to tell this jury anything about his demeanor?
No. He just walked in. It's not unusual. We wouldn't have made pleasantries or say hello to each other. It's not uncommon.
And you don't recall whether or not you got close enough to him to smell his breath or to smell what he smelled like, correct?
No.
you have ways of pinging the cell phone such that you can actually see the location on a map, correct?
Sure, yes.
And you would agree with me that ultimately, when the location was entered into your system, memory as to what name is listed?
Yes.
What name is that?
John O'Keefe?
No. I can have it back for a minute.
I'm gonna go back to the dash cam.
Right. So it's not in yet.
I see. With regard to your dash cam, sir, do you recognize the bottom video here as depicting your view as you were driving to the scene?
Sure.
And that appears to be a fair and accurate representation of what was shown to you on direct examination with regard to your dash cam?
Yes.
Continue.
We're gonna fast forward here. Okay, here they are at the scene. Karen Reed's going nuts. We've seen this already.
Sergeant Good, does it appear as though the top dash cam shows the exact same thing as the bottom dash cam, just from a different vantage point?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That morning, that John O'Keefe was found on his front lawn wearing only one shoe, black in color.
I was not aware of him missing a shoe, no.
While you were there, you were listening to the questions that Sergeant Lank was asking Brian Albert?
Yes.
Did you ever hear Sergeant Lank ask Brian Albert that morning if he knew where the other shoe was that was black in color?
Objection.
Sustained.
While you were there,
I mean,
hear Sergeant Lank ask Brian Albert.
I mean, that's just so important. The fact that there's a missing shoe there. And objection sustained. Yeah, we don't want that coming in evidence. That's odd that the police wouldn't look into that. Okay.
He learned that John O'Keefe was lying on his front lawn.
Objection.
Sustained.
Oh, God.
You knew that Brian Albert, as a Boston police officer, is a first responder, correct?
Yes.
All police officers are first responders, correct?
Yes.
You know from your training that all police officers have to receive CPR and other necessary training to be first responders, correct?
Yes.
At any point in time, did you ask Brian Albert why you didn't come out of his house?
No.
No.
Did Sergeant Lank in your presence ask him why you didn't come out of his house?
Objection.
Sustained.
Look at him, the way he looks. Like, are you guys going to object to this? Watch this. Look at this.
Be first responders, correct?
Yes.
At any point in time, did you ask Brian Albert why you didn't come out of his house?
Look at that. Are you going to save me? Are you going to save me? Look at this.
No.
So Brian Albert, he never asked Brian Albert, bro, why didn't you come out of your house when the dead bodies? He just never came up. Never came up. And now watch this.
Did Sergeant Lank in your presence ask him why you didn't come out of his house?
Objection.
Look at that. Look at that. You going to save me? You going to save me? You going to stop this? Objection. Look at that. The way he knows exactly what to do. You going to save me?
Sustained.
After clearing the scene at 7:50 in the morning, did you go back to the station?
I did.
Do you know whether or not Kevin Albert was working that day?
I don't.
Did you see Kevin Albert that day?
I don't recall seeing him.
Did you speak with Kevin Albert that day?
No.
Now, since that day, it's been almost 2.5 years. You've continued working on the same police force as Kevin Albert, correct?
Yes.
At some point in time, you and Kevin Albert discussed the fact that you were one of the first responding officers to his brother's home for this tragic incident, correct?
Yes.
It's a very unique situation, correct?
Yes.
Many officers in the department were interested to know what you saw and heard that day, correct?
Sure.
At what point in time after January 29th did Kevin Albert broach the topic with you as to what had happened on January 29th?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
Sure. I don't recall ever immediately talking to Kevin Albert about the incident, no.
Right. Well, you had said that you don't recall talking to him that day, but certainly within a couple of weeks, the two of you caught up, correct?
I can't remember, no.
I'm sorry?
I can't recall that, no.
Within a couple of months, you talked about it?
Sure.
And when you say sure, sir, I take that as physical evidence, correct?
Yes.
And you'd certainly be on high alert for any individual who made any statement about what may have occurred, correct?
Correct.
That's important not only for treatment purposes of somebody who apparently is hurt, but also for investigative purposes, correct?
Correct.
And again, you were the third officer on the scene by minutes in terms of the other two officers arriving before you, correct?
Yes.
And while you were on scene for over an hour and 40 minutes, and by the way, when I say on scene, it's clear to you that I'm asking you about 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
There was no scene at the Canton Police Department, correct?
No, I'm talking about 34 Fairview.
Of course. A scene is where something happened, correct?
You see what he's saying there? A scene, the scene, on scene. He's like, the scene is 34 Fairview Road, right? Not the Canton Police Department. You guys know why he's bringing that up? Because Michael Proctor put in his report that they were on scene. They were on scene. And then Michael Morrissey later said they never went to 34 Fairview Road. And that on scene meant the Canton Police Department. 𝗃𝗄𝗄𝗆𝗃 came up with that one. She's like, no. On scene meant the Canton, because she gets her talking points from the district attorney's office. And by the way, 𝗃𝗄𝗄𝗆𝗃 is losing her goddamn mind because David United gave me a butt tap yesterday. Like, she's losing it. But yeah, so that was interesting.
Yes.
While you were on scene at 34 Fairview for an hour and 40 minutes, did you ever once hear Karen Reed say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
Nope.
I did not.
And you wrote a report regarding this, correct?
I did.
You are trained over your 18 years that you include every important detail in that report, correct?
Correct.
Certainly a statement by Karen Reed screaming out, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, would have been an important detail that you would have included in your report, correct?
Yes.
You do not intentionally omit, I should say, any important details from your report, correct?
Correct.
Did not include that language, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, in your report, correct?
Correct.
And the reason you didn't include it is that you never heard those words come out of Karen Reed's mouth, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now getting back to potential physical evidence. If you're at a potential crime scene, you want to find what you can, correct?
Correct.
You want to properly secure any physical evidence, right?
Correct.
In order to assist the investigation, you're prepared to conduct a thorough search for evidence that may shed light on what had happened, correct?
Correct.
And you did participate in a thorough search in this case, did you not?
The best we could in the elements that we were dealing with. Yes.
Yeah, what'd you find?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Nope.
You had previously testified, and I think I'm quoting you, the leaf blower worked great, correct?
Yes.
You would agree with me that with that leaf blower, your department was able to actually get down to the bare ground, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Did you find any taillight?
And you were directed to the precise area where John O'Keefe had been laying, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you knew the area that needed to be searched, correct?
Yes.
You certainly want to properly search around that area, correct?
Correct.
And after John O'Keefe was in the ambulance and transported to the hospital, that was the very area that you were eyeballing, correct?
Yes.
Did you find anything?
And you visually searched that area as best you could under the conditions,
Any
correct?
taillight?
Yes.
Any
You
taillight?
tried to be as careful as you could.
Any taillight?
You did not want to miss anything.
Come on.
Correct.
Good job, very seriously.
Yes.
Yes.
In addition to scouring the area with your eyes, did you use your hands to search in the snow?
I don't remember doing that. I was recording it.
I'm sorry.
I don't remember it that way. I was recording the scene.
I see. Okay. Did you see other officers using their hands to search the scene?
I don't recall it that.
Do you recall officers using their feet to clear some areas?
Yes.
And you were the one that actually got your leaf blower, correct?
I did.
First time you ever used that in an investigation, fair to say?
Yes.
First time.
And your search was thorough enough. And when I say your search, I mean your department search. In addition to your droplets, you were looking for anything else that might be out of place there?
Sure.
Small items?
Of course.
Any taillight? Any taillight? Any taillight?
And as you were on scene, it was starting to get lighter as the morning
Oh my
progressed,
gosh. Oh
correct?
my gosh.
Yes.
And again, you didn't clear the scene until almost 8 a.m.
Correct.
And you searched and were keeping alert to what was around
Well,
you.
you know, I kid. You know, he's asking all these questions because he's painting for the jury, just in case there's any doubt about it. Like, so it was light outside. So you searched like real thoroughly. So you looked everywhere, right around where the body was. Like, he's painting a picture here of how impossible it would be for them not to see the red taillight in the shoe. That's what this is. That's what this is about.
You for the time that you were on scene, correct?
Yes.
During that 1 hour, I should say, and 40 minutes, you did not find 45 pieces of red and black and clear taillight pieces.
There we go.
Correct?
No.
How many pieces of taillight did you find on or around that property?
That morning, none.
Did you find a
Ooh.
men's hat, black in color?
No.
Did you find a size 12 men's shoe, black in color?
No.
Now, you would agree that it's important to preserve and secure a crime scene?
Yes.
Why is that?
You don't want the crime scene to be contaminated.
And you also do not want, and you'd like to prevent the crime scene from also being manipulated. Would you agree with the law so that all personnel are required to sign in and sign out?
All right.
And I think you look at it silently and then look up at me when you're done. Whose name was not completely spelled out?
Correct.
Who was that?
Brian Albert.
Okay, so they didn't put Brian Albert's name on it. Okay, all right. So let's jump it. We're gonna jump ahead to today. We're gonna skip the voir dire part of Lank. We're gonna get because the jury doesn't hear any of that, so it's not even good, right? Before we do that, let me just bang through some turtle chats here. $25 from Nurse Ratchet says, "Do I need to medicate the crazies?" I'd say so. Sean sends $5. Says, "To all the ladies who enjoy my humor and memes, thanks for the nudes." All right. A-Rod sends $10. Says, "All the lawyers on LawTube are covering the trial. Emily Baker, who's very good, destroys Lally. She's so pissed at how they handled the investigation for John O'Keefe. They're all saying the defense is killing it. That's awesome. I mean, how could they not? How could they not?" So again, nobody with the brain thinks this is going well for the prosecution because it's not. Michelle sends $10. Says, "It's my understanding the tow truck driver will be on the stand due to the witness tampering. Has anyone looked into his background? Does he know the people in the police force?" No, I'm told that he's a witness for the defense. $10 from Aaron O'Keefe's Lipstick and says, "This is for a new Salvation Army t-shirt for tomorrow's court date." Yeah, what was with that giraffe shirt today? That was interesting. Dave sends $10. Says, "Happy Tuesday, Aidan. I'm joining late, so forgive me if you've gone over this. Are you worried at all about that rear photo of Karen's car?" Yes, you're very late. It does look like they messed up with the right taillight. So you're going to watch that again, and your questions are going to be answered, Dave. Thank you. Al, and to answer, no, not the least bit worried about it. Alice sends $10. Says, "Years ago, I drove by a body on the side of the road. Yikes. No snow, but also no street lights. Anyone can see a body on the side of the road, especially a plow driver." Yeah, wait till Lucky Loughran. He's going to be the best witness, I think. The best witness. So, okay. Next up. Next up is Paul sends $5. Says, "There's 20,000 illegal immigrant families." Okay, not reading that, Paul. Thanks for the $5. This is not the Sean Hannity show. I'm not reading your long paragraph about illegal immigration. I'm not doing that. But thank you for the $5, especially for $5. If you did 50, maybe I'd read it, but I'm definitely not reading that bullshit for $5. I'm keeping it, and I apologize for nothing. So thank you very much. Okay. Lank sends $5 and says, "I like to bite." Okay. And Sandy says $25 and says, "Fuck around, find out. Welcome to the big kids table, Steve Coat. Last chance or huge, horrific reveal." Oh, can we not with that guy? Can we not? I have to block all of his accounts. I really don't want to make him a character. He just wants attention. And I would urge everyone in the comments to just block him and just don't give people like that attention. I hate seeing the chat get taken over by drama and bullshit from people who don't really matter and have nothing to do with the Kearney case. So, all right. Got here a couple turtle chats. Do we have any here? First up, we have Michael Ward sends $10 and says, "Where was the dog when the cops went inside the house?" That's a great question that Howie asked me today, because none of them said they saw the dog in there. I would say either down in the basement, or maybe Caitlin Albert took the dog and got out of there when she left at 1:45. Just saying. So let's jump to the next, today's whatever. Let's jump to that. If anyone else wants to donate, the link to the turtle chat is at the top, or you can cash at me at $Uncle_Turtleboy, and we can do it that way. All right, let's play some good stuff here. Okay, let's start with the so Alan Jackson gets his crack at or no, this is Yannetti gets his crack at Goode again today.
You are familiar with the key swipe system at the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Could you explain to the jury how that works? And how many, strike that. Do you know how this information is?
Any objection, Mr. Lally?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Are they subject to redactions?
Yes, we have redacted them.
All right, we got a little sidebar.
Altered that or added that to the report.
Not altered. So he was the one that got those names. So when he entered his report, I believe he would enter those.
Okay, and so he entered that into your report, correct?
Anybody writes a supplemental, if you have the authorization, can enter who you speak to add those names. I only spoke to Ms. Roberts, Ms. Reed, and Ms. McCabe that morning.
But the report has your name on it, correct?
Yes.
Did you speak to anybody from the prosecution, either Mr. Lally or Ms. McLaughlin or anybody else from that office about this issue?
No.
You would agree with me that it is important when you're writing a police report to be transparent, correct?
Yes.
You want to be clear, correct?
Yes.
You do not want to mislead the reader into believing something that is not true, correct?
Yes.
Can I see P and Q for identification, please?
All right. So what's he getting at? We're going to fast forward to right here. He's getting to this shit right here. So, and I was confused by this when it first happened, but let's just play.
20A is, you testified, the photo of the berm that was included in the first version of your police report, which was P for identification, correct?
Yes.
All right. Let's put up 42, please.
So that's his version. That's his.
No. I'm sorry. Where is 42?
Right here. I don't have it.
Oh, you have it. Yeah. No wonder. Sure. Okay. The exhibit sticker's upside down, but there we go. That is the photo of the piece of tail light allegedly found at 34 Fairview that you have identified as exhibit 42, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, having seen.
First of all, just look at this picture. Okay. This is entered into evidence. This is supposedly the same curb area, and it must be really zoomed in. That is a really small piece of taillight. A really small piece of taillight. And it just, dude, does that look real? Does that looks photoshopped or some shit to me. I mean, it just looks, it's so much clearer. I mean, either way, it just shows that, like, if that's what a small piece of taillight looks like on snow, imagine what a bigger piece of taillight looks like and how freaking impossible it would be to miss it all. But this is the crazy part about what we're about to see that I was confused about initially is where did this come from? The initial report from Goode had the picture of the curb, and then it's just white shit behind it. And then there's this is also added to the report. This is a supplemental part of the report. It includes this.
Those photos, one was included in P for identification, one was included in Q for identification, correct?
Yes.
Which you previously identified as your reports. Or report, I should say.
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, I would offer the top portion of P and Q for identification as a full exhibit.
Okay, and there's an objection from the Commonwealth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, it will come in. When the jury actually gets it, we'll have it on the same 9x12 paper that everything else is.
Perfect.
And all exhibits go through Madam Court Reporter.
Oh, of course.
Jurors, I'm going to send you out for 5 minutes.
Okay, he's going to send us out.
Move this case along. All right. All right. I'll be out in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's their case. He wants to submit something, but they're the ones taking forever. Okay. Here we go. He wants to submit the two reports side by side, and somehow that's David Yanetti's fault. Okay.
Thank you.
And with the court's permission, I'd like to display these one above the other.
Okay.
Here we go. So there's the two reports.
Okay. Sergeant Goode, you have previously testified about the details in these reports. You would agree that each of these reflects your report. It says reporting officer Sergeant Sean Goode, correct?
Yes.
Each of these is page 1 of your report, correct?
Yes.
You've previously testified that you call that the face sheet of the report, correct?
Yes.
Each of these has the identical incident number and call number, correct?
Yes.
The identical date and time reported, correct?
Yes.
The identical report date and time, correct?
Yes.
And of course, the identical officer.
Yes.
Other than the print date of the face sheet of your report, one appears to be in January, one appears to be in October. The major change is the photo that's included on the face sheet, correct?
This is
Yes.
crazy.
Can I explain why?
So that second photo with the piece of tail light that is included on the first page of your report, that photo is not from January 29th of 2022, correct?
Correct.
So where did it come from? This is a completely different picture. It's got his name on it, Sergeant Goode, but this one says October. So this is the new picture that's in evidence, and it has taillight in it.
You never took a photo of a piece of taillight on January 29th of 2022, correct?
Correct.
You never saw a piece of tail light at 34 Fairview on January 29th of 2022, correct?
Correct.
Did you personally switch the photo on the face sheet of your police report?
No.
Do you know who did?
So whoever updated the report, their supplemental, you add photos.
Whoever updated the report, you add photos.
In answer to my question, do you know the specific person from your department who altered the photo on the face sheet of your report?
I didn't take the supplemental report, so I don't know.
So who did it?
I don't know who took the photo.
It's got his name on it.
But given that this is your report, you're the reporting officer.
Yeah.
You are responsible for the content of that report, are you not?
For my report, yes, not other officers' supplementals to an investigation.
All right, but this is your report. This is the face sheet
Yes.
for the reporting officer, Sergeant Sean Goode, is it not?
Yeah.
Yes, on the
it's
face
got
sheet.
your name on it.
Now, would you agree with me that someone reading this report and seeing that the date and time of the report is listed as January 29th of 2022 at 8:24 a.m., that's when you wrote it, correct?
That's when I logged in, yes.
Somebody reading that and seeing a photo of a piece of tail light might believe that that photo is from the same date that you're writing the report, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you think it's misleading to include a photo on the face sheet of the report when the report is dated January 29th, 2022, and the photo is not from that date, it's from sometime later?
Objection.
Sustained.
Like, how is that? Like, do you think it's misleading to have your name on a report that you didn't update? Objection. Why would Jet? Yes, the answer is yes. It would be very misleading.
Is there anything on what is now marked Exhibit 44 on that face sheet that indicates the date and time that that photo on Exhibit 44 was taken?
No.
Is there anything on Exhibit 44, that face sheet of your report, that indicates that it applies to some supplemental report that was later filed?
No.
I may have a moment.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, of course.
So,
we got two others.
I mean, that blew my mind today. I'm like, wait a minute. You can somebody just updates your report and keeps your name on it, and then you never find out who that person is. This is how law and order works in a murder investigation. Are you kidding me? So we have no idea who took that picture, who supplemented a report. His name's still on it. He doesn't seem to mind. He doesn't give a shit.
As well.
Okay, the exhibits are to remain up here with the clerk.
And the suspect vehicle had fled the scene. Officer Lank, was my partner that night. He followed the oil spill of the vehicle down Dedham Street, up 𝗃𝗏𝗃, all the way down to the intersection of 𝗃𝗏𝗃 to Fairview, and the oil spill actually drove into 34.
So this is they're talking about how they got 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗆, the Fredo of the family. They arrested him for a hit and run. He's probably drunk, and they followed the oil spill because this guy's like fucking Hansel and Gretel. And the police just followed the oil spill to 34 Fairview Road. It goes into the driveway, and that's how they got him, and they arrest him.
Or Fairview, where we found the vehicle.
And who, if anyone, did you, through your investigation, who, if anyone, did you associate with operating that?
And so Lally's asking this. So why is Lally asking about like 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗆? You're going to see in 1 sec.
That'd be Albert.
And was Mr. Timothy Albert, was he charged in reference to that incident?
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. See, we arrest Alberts. That's the whole purpose of this. Alberts don't get any bias out of this. No, we don't give them any. We don't cut them any slack. Fredo gets arrested.
You know approximately when that was?
It was in 2009. I don't know the exact date.
Now, what'd you charge him with? What'd you charge him with? Huh.
Now, as far as your report, you asked a number of things. What if anything happened with the snowfall sort of throughout the course of the day?
All right, so we're going to
Mr. Riley, do you want to, you're objecting to all of this? Okay. Okay.
All right, so we're going to get to when.
All right, I'll give you all a 5-minute break, and then we have to get going.
All
right, so now Lank. Let's get to Lank, the fixer.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Michael Lank.
Again, I'm going to skip the Lally part because this is just a dog and pony show. And we're going to get to the cross-examination because that's when things get interesting and relevant.
Did she tell you that she intended in response to a call back?
Yes. Chris Albert, I've known since junior. Yes, that's a closer up. Yes, that's a yes.
Ms. Gilman, the next photograph.
That's a piece of taillight they found.
And sir, do you again recognize what's up on screen?
Yes, that's a close-up picture of the piece of plastic.
Thanks. Ms. Gilman, you can.
It's a piece of plastic. Okay. That our officers all missed. We all missed that. Somebody else found that days later. We missed it.
Yes. I want to start by asking you about your relationship with certain members of the Albert family. Do you know any other members of the Albert family other than Brian Albert?
Yes.
Can you describe who those are?
Kevin Albert, who is a detective on our department. Chris Albert.
Okay,
And
so he knows all the Alberts.
Chris Albert I've known since junior high.
Which would be about what age? Chris.
Yes.
First names only because they're all.
Sure. Chris and I were pretty good friends when we were younger, yes.
So
I want to draw your attention to an incident in August of
Chris
2002. Do you remember an incident in 2002 occurring with that involved Chris Albert?
Yes.
In 2002, in August of 2002 specifically, you were off duty, correct?
Yes.
You've been drinking alcohol, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
You were approached by Chris Albert on the parking lot, is that right?
That's correct.
And Chris Albert told you some information about being in a fight. That he had been in a fight or an altercation of some sort, correct?
He told me he had been in an altercation earlier in the night and some threats had been made to him and his family.
And
so Chris Albert comes up to him, and I've reported this months ago, like back in May. This guy's drinking. He's off duty. This is back in 2002. So he's probably early on the force back then. Chris Albert, who he's known since childhood, seeks him out and is like, I just got in a fight. All right. And so instead of, he decides that I'm going to clock in. I'm going to clock in and do what? What are you going to do?
And you got out of your car and discussed this with Mr. Albert, correct?
No.
You just talked to him while you were seated in your car?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, did some other individuals approach that same area?
Yes.
Was there a fight that you believed was about to ensue?
Yes.
Did you get out of your car at that point?
I did.
Did you come to Chris's aid by, quote unquote, activating yourself as an officer?
I got out of my car and I approached the group and I pleaded with them to not fight tonight. I said, there's not going to be a fight tonight. There's 6 of you guys. He's here with his girlfriend. There's not going to be a fight tonight.
Did you come to Chris Albert's aid as best you could as a longtime friend of his?
I came to the aid of a citizen who was in fear and of need.
I mean, seriously, dude, I am so fucking sick of Chris Albert's bullshit. I am so sick of this guy's bullshit. He has been a pussy since the beginning of time. He is such a fucking slimy little bitch, Chris Albert. I fucking hate him more than anyone in this whole story. He's such a little cocksucker. When I was on my way out of court, he's like, yeah, that's a bitch, huh? Yeah. You brought the fake victim with you. Nice trick you got there, Chris. You seem really scared of me though. I mean, this is the guy who calls police when a 17-year-old is peacefully protesting outside of his store. When I went to his pizza shop one day, I just went in for 5 seconds. He calls his brother Kevin, and Kevin calls in and sends cops down to D&E Pizza. And they get down there and they're like, yeah, so what'd you do? Well, I went inside for 1 second, then he asked me to leave, and then I left. Okay, cool. Yeah. So just don't go back in. Yeah. I don't want to go back in. I heard the chicken parm's mediocre in there anyway. Like that was it. This guy is such a loser. And I'll tell you another thing. I have it on good record. This guy is whining about all the business Turtle Boy cost him at his mediocre pizza shop. And he's complaining because I guess people are going in there and asking him for the mediocre chicken parm. And he has kicked out multiple, like he says that people come in and free Karen read stuff and they look up at the thing, like the menu, and they want to order something and they try to order and he kicks them out. He kicks people out wearing free Karen read shit who are trying to pay him money for food. And then he complains that I cost him business. Meanwhile, he's literally kicking people out of his shop that are attempting to give him money for his shitty food. And it's my fault. I mean, I've never seen a bit. This guy has been a bitch his whole life. Crying to Lank. Oh, Mikey, come save me. I got in a fight. They're coming after me and my family, my girl. You don't get in a fight with some guys by accident. Chris Albert talks a big, tough game, runs his mouth all the time. And then the Lapalato brothers weren't having it. And we saw it happen. We saw it happen at the waterfall last July when he starts mouthing off to those 2 chicks. We've seen the tape where he's like, Cannon Reed fucking did it. Fuck you guys. Yeah, fuck you. He could have just walked away. His buddy's like, dude, Chris, get in the fucking truck. You're a selectman. What are you doing? And he calls his buddy Lank over in 2002 because Chris is an entitled little shit dick. That's all he ever is. It's all he's ever been his whole life. This entitled little shit dick motherfucker. And I hope he cries himself to sleep when his son goes to jail. Because whether or not Colin Albert goes to jail for killing or being involved in the murder of John O'Keefe, he's going to jail at some point. That motherfucker is Satan. Like that motherfucker, like if he gets away with what they did to John O'Keefe, he's going to be like, I can do anything. I'm untouchable. Like he's just like his dad. He'll kill again. Like there's no doubt in my mind. Like eventually Colin Albert's going to jail, whether it's for the John O'Keefe thing or anything else. He's going to jail. Chris Albert, I mean, he follows in his father's footsteps, right? Dad went to jail for 6 months, killed Peter Berger in 19. Oh, and we know we're going to have an interview soon. You know, messaged me today. The guy who was behind Chris Albert on the highway in 1994 contacted us. Saw the whole accident, almost hit him. Saw Chris flee, and he won an award, and he verified it with us. He saved the two people, the woman in the car who was with Peter Berger. He saved her life. He pulled her out of the car. He messaged me today, and he said he's going to come on the show. We're going to get him on the show. We're also going to get on the show the attorney from the 𝗵𝗆𝗇𝗺 brothers case, because I got sauces. So we're going to get to that. But anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. My bigger point here is Chris Albert is such a little bitch, and he uses the cops. He acts like a tough guy and then runs to the cops all the time. They all do that. You saw Tristan Morris do it the other day. Big tough guy calls the cops. All these motherfuckers. Colin Albert, following his father's footsteps. Big tough guy on TikTok. Wasn't so tough in front of the grand jury. Crying about Turtle Boy. Wasn't so tough there.
That citizen happened to be Chris Albert, whom you had known since you were 12 years old.
Correct.
Ultimately, a fight did break out, did it not?
Yes.
And you engaged in that fight.
Yes.
And again, you had been drinking alcohol at that point, correct?
Correct.
And you were off duty in August of 2002 during this fight.
Yes.
Just like you were off duty in 2022 when you were called by Sergeant Goode to activate and come to the crime scene at 34 Fairview.
So there's a pattern here. He was off duty in 2002 when he gets called to the, and he just clocked in. He deputized himself while drinking to help out his buddy Chris Albert. And he did it. He was not on the clock again on January 29, 2022. He just clocked into work to help his friends, the Alberts, out.
Sergeant Goode contacted me. I was not working. I was due to work at 7:45 that morning. When Sergeant Goode contacted me and told me what was going on, then I activated myself and came to work because I was the detective sergeant.
And that's similar sort of activation, using that word in air quotes, it's similar sort of activation that you employed back in 2002 to assist Chris Albert.
No.
What?
You did, in fact, call for someone to call the police and get some Canton officers over there, correct?
Excuse me, so in 2002?
In 2002.
Yes.
Okay, and I failed to ask you this, but in 2002, you were in fact a Canton police officer.
Yes.
At the time. After the other officers arrived, did you order the other officers to handcuff or somehow restrain one of the two brothers that were involved in this fight, Chris?
No.
Ultimately, did you see whether or not those officers handcuffed or otherwise restrained one of the brothers that was involved in this fight?
Yes.
And did you then engage physically in a fight with the other brother who was not restrained?
No. The struggle had already occurred.
All right. So let me make sure I get the timing right. You did, in fact, engage in a physical fight with one of the brothers, correct?
Upon being struck, yes.
He started it.
Upon being struck, yes.
And then
he just comes over and like the guy just hits him for no reason. So he was all self-defense, right? Somehow this guy's drinking. Chris Albert calls him up and he wants us to believe, I just got struck. So I fought a guy.
Struck him back.
Yes.
You ended up on the ground.
Yes, we were wrestling, yes.
And ultimately the other officers had to pull you off that man, correct?
No.
You ultimately, the fight was broken up between you and the other brother. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. And that fight was broken up by the officers who were on scene.
Yes.
After this physical altercation with the brother who was not ultimately restrained, both of the brothers and everybody else was just told by the officers, just go away, get out of here, go home, correct?
No, I believe one of the brothers left the scene, fled the scene, and the brother that was restrained was ultimately uncuffed and left free to go.
And nobody was arrested that night?
Correct.
Nobody chased down the brother that left the scene, correct?
That's correct.
And nobody arrested the brother that had been handcuffed?
Correct.
And no police reports were written by you or any of the other officers about this incident on that night?
I don't recall when the other officers wrote theirs. I did not write mine on that night.
The next day, you became aware that one or both of the brothers had arrived at Canton Police Department to file a formal complaint for having been physically attacked by you and some of the other officers involved, correct?
I don't recall when I was made aware that they had come down to the police station.
So just to review, this guy's off duty, drinking, activates himself, gets in a fight with the other one, runs away. Then they let the other one go. And then they go down to the police department to file a complaint against this drunken, crooked cop who activates himself in the middle of a melee to save his whiny little bitch friend, 𝗃𝗄𝗏𝗺. Okay. That's what happened there.
You are aware that there was a complaint sought against you for the physical attack that was alleged to have occurred.
And what happens?
It was brought to my attention that they had come down to the police station.
And you also are aware that only after that complaint had been sought, the police reports were then dated and filed against the two brothers, correct?
So I had spoken to the sergeant on duty the night of the incident.
No question. I'm just looking at
It's not a yes or no question.
It is.
So he was just asking you about dates. So can you answer the question? Ask the question about the dates again, please.
I'm seeking the chronology of events. A fight occurs, a complaint against you occurs, and then police reports are filed against the two people that are complaining against you. Is that the chronology?
They file a complaint against him, and then he writes a police report about it. He hadn't written a police report or filed a criminal complaint against these guys, and then they complained about him, so he retaliates by charging them.
Yes.
And you're also aware that although he had been in a physical fight that night, no charges were ever brought against 𝗃𝗄𝗏𝗺, correct?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor.
Do you know that?
Look at that face. He's like, yeah, we just charged the one. 𝗃𝗄𝗏𝗺 doesn't get, when you do the same, because when Alberts do it, it's not a crime. Don't you understand? When other people do it, it is a crime. What aren't people getting about this? When Lizzie Proctor calls your work and tries to get you fired, that's not a crime. When you leave a negative review on our employer's Facebook page, it's witness intimidation. You don't understand. It's a McAlbert thing. You don't understand.
I don't know. I don't even know where the fight occurred.
Officer Lank, what we just talked about, is that an example of you using your position as a police officer to come to the aid of one of the members of the Albert family?
Sounds like it.
It was me coming to the aid of a citizen who was terrified and scared for him and his family on that night.
Terrified. 𝗃𝗄𝗏𝗺 was terrified of the 𝗃𝗏𝗺 brothers. I got to get them on the show. I got to meet the 𝗃𝗏𝗺 brothers. They're on the witness list. Oh my goodness. Terrified.
Who happened?
What?
Excuse me. Who happened to be 𝗃𝗄𝗏𝗺?
You mentioned 𝗃𝗏𝗺. Who's he?
𝗃𝗏𝗺 is a detective with the Canton Police.
Is he a coworker?
Yes.
How long have you known him?
Probably since 14, 15 years old.
And you also consider him to be a friend as well as a coworker?
I do.
And a colleague?
Yes.
And you're also well aware. I mean, you said it already. He's the little brother of Brian.
Correct.
And you're also aware that the reason that your department was ultimately recused from this investigation, Lieutenant Lank, is because of a perceived bias or conflict of interest between the Albert family and the Canton Police Department, correct?
Yes, there was a perceived bias.
Can you tell me one more time, and I now want to fast forward to the incident in question.
Realized it then, or once I turned onto the street, I don't recall.
At some point before your car came to a stop, you knew this is 34 Fairview, this is the Albert household.
I knew that was
35 or so, with the court's permission?
Yes.
And the bottom one?
Watch this.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Looks like possibly Sergeant Goode's based on where it's placed.
Okay. If we could fast forward to the 28:40 mark or so, basically play that. And let's pause it for a second. You want to maybe approach briefly
Okay.
All right, hold on. Let's fast forward.
with Jennifer McCabe out behind, specifically to an area right around this area in the video, which is highlighted. Before we play, a couple of foundational questions. Did you meet with Jennifer McCabe out behind the vehicle that's depicted in the Officer 𝗃𝗏𝗺 dash cam?
Yes.
Did you have some sort of conversation with her?
I did.
At some point, did you see Ms. McCabe leave your presence and walk toward the driveway?
Once the conversation had terminated, I honestly don't recall where she went.
Did she tell you that she intended to go inside the house?
I had said to her that at some point we're going to need to speak to Brian and Nicole.
Why did you think it was important to speak to Brian and Nicole?
Oh, this is good.
Because it's their property.
Okay, so he's like, okay, so this is, why would you want to talk to Brian and Nicole? Because there's a dead guy on the lawn. Okay. Okay. So you're a cop, right? Yep. Did you ever think about knocking on the door? You sent Jennifer McCabe in. I mean, this is the towny bullshit. Like, instead of them going in and speaking with Brian and Nicole Albert, they're like, Jen, can you go in there and get them? Oh yeah, Jenny, go in there and grab them. Like another witness, like, and so they can start talking to each other and get their story straight. Okay.
It was playing in the snow, unconscious and unresponsive, correct?
Correct.
And obviously that could potentially, at least, implicate people inside the house.
Based on my conversation with Miss McCabe, she had stated that the intention was for Mr. McCabe, for Mr. O'Keefe to join them at that house. So I wanted to get statements from everybody who was there.
Find out what happened, correct?
Correct.
I mean, that's sort of the obvious initial point of an investigation. Find out who the witnesses are and interview all of them, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
And you began by talking to Miss McCabe.
Yes.
Knowing that she was a potential witness at least, correct?
She identified herself as a friend of Mr. O'Keefe.
Who had been with Mr. O'Keefe just hours before.
Yes.
He ended up laying in the snow, fighting for his life, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you also knew that there were other witnesses potentially inside the house because she just told you that, right?
I knew that that was ultimately where he was supposed to end up.
So if there were other witnesses in the house, if there were other individuals in the house, they also were potential witnesses.
Potentially.
And Miss McCabe indicated, I'm going to go in the house, correct?
I had told her that she's going to have to wake her sister up because we're going to need to speak with them.
You didn't think that it was more important to separate the witnesses and not let her talk to other witnesses?
Nope.
No.
You thought it was appropriate to let all the witnesses get together and just discuss the facts before you have an opportunity to interview them separately?
Objection.
It is to the floor.
Objection.
Just letting her.
That's fine.
That's like, this is the downside of this courtroom.
Lieutenant Lank, if you could direct your attention to the area that I highlighted earlier. Let's go ahead and play the video. So, did you see anything occur ever around the car in the distance?
It appears to be somebody walking towards the house.
Was that Jim McCabe?
Yes.
I can't say for sure.
Do you see yourself, by the way, in this video?
Yes.
Where are you?
Right here.
Okay. You described with a, I don't know if it's tan or gray.
It's a gray North Face jacket with black on the top.
Okay. Toward the shoulders?
Yes.
All right. Let's go ahead and play the video and I'll indicate another stopping place that I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about. No, sorry. Standing frozen.
Kerry Roberts walking around.
Did you see another person shorter in stature approach you?
I believe right there. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Who is that?
I believe it's Kerry Roberts.
Okay.
Okay.
How's it?
Yeah.
You're taking a call?
Yes.
On your cell phone?
So he's on the
What
phone.
was that call?
Who are you calling?
I don't recall. It could have. I can't see what time that is.
It's 6:35. It says right there.
I don't believe that I made the call to the CPAC unit until around 6:38. So I'm not sure who that call is to. Was from.
If you'll direct your attention, I think now down toward the camera below.
Yes.
You may see yourself into the frame. Can we go ahead and play it?
Look at this. Who is he calling at 6:30? Who's he calling? Who's he calling? 6:35. Who's he calling?
Go ahead and pause it. Does it appear you're on the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Who do you guys think he's calling? What do you think? He's calling someone. Who's he calling?
Pause it. Did it appear that you walked off screen left?
Yes.
Still on the phone?
Yes.
Yep. Talking to someone for a bit there. It's not the CPAC unit. He calls them at 6:38. So he's calling someone.
Did you see somebody following that same direction?
Yeah, those
It looked like Officer Sarah.
Seraph, yeah. Oh, he calls Proctor at 6:30.
That's Officer Sarah right there. So I'm incorrect.
You think it might have been Sergeant Good?
Could we play it back?
With court's permission.
Sure, go ahead.
Was it?
Still on the
Does it appear
phone.
that you walked back into the frame?
Yes.
Are you followed by anybody?
I believe it's still Sergeant Good.
Are you speaking to Sergeant Good or are you walking away from him? Can you tell?
In that frame, it appears I'm standing right next to him.
Let's go ahead. Was it? It appeared you were sort of walking away from Sergeant Good off frame again?
Yes, it appears that I'm pacing.
Were you still on the phone?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And Karen Reed.
Okay, go ahead. SUV in the video?
Yes.
Does that SUV appear to be leaving the scene?
Yes.
Do you know who's in that video? In that SUV?
I believe it's going to be Kerry Roberts and Karen Reed.
So they're allowing Kerry Roberts and Karen Reed to leave the scene at 6:37. This is when the shenanigans start. Like, first of all, why would, if you believed that she just ran this man over, why is she allowed to leave the scene of the crime? Why? Why? She just allegedly admitted it, right? Oh, right, because none of them heard that. Right, none of them heard that. So there's a dead guy on the front lawn. They have no clue how he got there right now. And they're just like, yeah, so you dropped him off here. So yeah, you can just leave. You can just leave. Right. Lank knew it was a fight. He does say that.
At that point, are you walking back into the frame on the lower video?
They still appear to be off.
And at some point, while you were at the scene, did the lights come on? I think you testified to that earlier.
Yep.
Yes.
The lights come on in the
Pay
house.
special attention to that moment and maybe tell me to stop when you see those lights come on. It may be a minute or so.
Sure.
Tell me when the lights come on. Ready?
At this point, does it appear that you're still on the phone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what's the implication here? That he's calling Brian Albert? He calls, and then when does the light come on? When does it come on? It's got to be soon. I can't believe they just threw this dude out there like that. That's wild. Where's the light? Oh, there it is.
At this point, is there anything changed in the scene?
6:39.
It appears that there's now a light on inside the home.
And at this point, Ms. McCabe has been inside the house for approximately how long, if you could estimate?
Maybe 3 minutes.
Okay, whatever.
And are you still on the phone? Or have you been to that call?
I can't tell if I'm still on the phone at that point. I know that right around this time is when I end up speaking to the
It's the CPAC unit. Okay. All right.
Lights finally came on at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
At the point the lights came on, the ladder truck had already gone, left from the scene, correct?
Correct.
I
believe so.
The firefighters are all gone.
Firefighter's gone, yeah.
Yes.
The ambulance has already left and transported Mr. O'Keefe.
Yes.
The paramedics are gone, EMTs.
Yes.
Fire captain and his SUV, that's gone.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
You
Okay.
then speak to CPAC. I'm sorry, to dispatch, correct?
CPAC.
Canton dispatch and CPAC dispatch.
Yes.
So somebody disclosed to you that it appeared that he had been in a quote fight or whatever.
All
At least
right.
at that point.
Actually, let me.
So somebody,
rewind this. Let me
so
rewind.
somebody quote, I'm not sure if he's been in a fight or whatever.
Okay,
So
this
he
is
just found.
this is the important part here. This is the climax. This is like very, very interesting what he says here.
All right. At some point, did you say, did you indicate to one or the other? I'm responding to 34 Fairview. We have a Boston police officer who was just found.
I stated that I was already at 34 Fairview.
You indicated that he does have some trauma to his head area, correct?
That's correct.
And you said, quote, I'm not sure if he's been in a fight or whatever. Our medics don't believe he's going to make it.
Correct.
I'm not sure if he's been in a fight or whatever. That's his initial response when he looks at John O'Keefe. That is wild, man. He admits that. That's his initial assessment, is that John O'Keefe was in a fight. I'm not sure if he's been in a fight or whatever. If that's the case, if that's your initial inclination that this dude was in a fight, how is that not probable cause to search the house? How do you not ask them to search? He hasn't even considered that this woman hit him. Hasn't even considered it yet. That's a very interesting admission right there.
Sergeant Lank, you never saw John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
So somebody disclosed to you that it appeared that he had been in a quote fight or whatever, at least at that point. That was your thought.
No.
And what made you say, well,
So he hadn't seen the body. He hadn't seen the body. So that means probably somebody else told him that he looked like he got in a fight, right? Interesting.
you didn't say to dispatch, the victim appears to have been shot, correct?
Correct.
You didn't say it appeared he'd been stabbed.
No.
He had been strangled.
No.
You didn't say it appeared he'd been hit by a car.
Correct.
You said it appeared that he'd been in a fight or whatever, correct?
I stated that he had some trauma to his head, and I said, I don't know if he has been in a fight. And then I believe I described it as a, I don't remember my exact terminology, but it was a crazy scene.
Chaotic scene?
Possibly. I don't recall my exact words, something to that effect.
But you do recall your exact words to dispatch being, I don't know if he's been in a fight or whatever.
Correct.
Okay. I want to talk about inside the house for just a few minutes, if I could.
What was it like there? Tell me about the inside.
You've talked extensively about the crime scene outside. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to talk about what a few minutes after we ended that video.
Yes.
And you walked you said either along the driveway or through the yard.
I believe it was up the driveway.
Okay. Once you went in the house, you made contact with the individuals in the house, correct?
Okay. So
Yes.
what was
And
it
you believed,
like?
at least at that point, that there was a potential that there was a, let me rephrase that. You knew that you were dealing with a violent incident, correct?
No.
You thought maybe it was just a heart attack?
I didn't know what it was. At that point in time, I didn't know what it was.
How would he get out there?
Could have been a multitude of things.
But what was going through your mind at that point was it could have been a fight or whatever.
He said it could have
Because he
been
had
a
trauma
fight.
to his head.
That's
Those
the
are your words.
first.
Those were my words, yes.
Okay. So you didn't think it was like some old man who died of old age?
Based on his age, no, I wouldn't have suspected that.
You didn't think it was an accidental drowning or something?
Again, it could have been a multitude of things to cause those injuries. So at that point in time, we had no idea what we were looking at.
But you were aware that it had something to do with a violent incident. He had trauma to his face and he's unconscious, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you believe that there were any indicators that Mr. O'Keefe had been involved in some sort of a physical altercation?
Possibly.
Okay. And that's because you used the phrase, he had trauma to his face and head, right?
That's what I had been told, yes.
So
By
based on
who?
what you had been told, you knew that there was a person laying out unconscious just outside a residence that may have been involved in a physical altercation. That's fair.
It's a possibility, yes. But again, there were a multitude of things that were going through my head as possibilities.
But that's one of the premier possibilities, right?
I wouldn't say it's premier. It was one of the possibilities.
But it was the only one you mentioned as a possibility. What were the other possibilities? Run over by a car? Was that a possibility? Because you just let the woman leave who allegedly did. I mean, what did you think? And if he was beaten up, you should have searched the house.
And it's logical to believe that if a fight had occurred, very well may have started inside the residence 30 feet away.
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Objection.
Did you believe
Sustained.
in your mind that it was possible, given the fact that a violent confrontation was possible in your mind, that it could have started inside the house?
Objection.
Sustained.
Here we approach.
Yes.
Unbelievable that it's like that's just such the obvious question that's everyone's thinking. Like, well, if there was a fight, it's a good chance it happened right in there, right? I mean, what, did he just fight some bum on the side of the road? No, I mean, he must have fought somebody in the house, right? There's certainly a possibility of that.
Ma'am?
Sure.
Lieutenant Lank, given what you believed at the time and the possibility that there was a fight or whatever, did you logically think in your mind, your state of mind was it possibly could have started in the house?
If it had been a confrontation, it could have started anywhere.
Right? The house is part of anywhere, right?
Correct.
So in other words, the house is not excluded in your mind at that point as a
Where else would
starting
it
point
start?
for the investigation. Is that right?
Well, the starting point would have been where Mr. O'Keefe had been discovered. And then based on speaking with the witnesses, there was no indication that he had ever made it into the house.
Well, you didn't know that until you followed up on your investigation, correct?
Yeah, he hadn't talked to the witnesses yet about not coming in the house. So how would he know that? How would he know that John never came in the house, as they say? How would he know that? Seriously.
I learned that by speaking to Ms. McCabe.
So you just took Ms. McCabe's word for it.
Oh.
At that point in time, that was the only person I had spoken to. And she gave me a timeline of events from that night where Mr. O'Keefe was supposed to come back to the house.
And now you guys get it. Now you get why Jen McCabe is the quarterback of this whole thing. Now you see why she's talking to every cop. She poisoned their mind. She made it clear that guy never came in the house. She's not even worried about is he alive. She wants him to die. Her number one concern at this point is speaking to all the cops, playing them, all these towny cops that she's known for a long time, and just saying like, oh no, we invited him over. He never came in the house. She just gets that in their mind immediately. And this dumb, gullible motherfucker believes her because she's Jenny McCabe. She's Jenny Weeks, the chick grew up in town and went to high school with whatever. And, you know, that's it.
But never made it.
Have you ever been in your course of investigating cases? Have you ever been lied to by a witness?
Yeah, she must be telling the truth.
Can you answer that? Have you ever been lied to by a witness?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
So it's not necessarily the best investigative technique to just take a witness's word for something, correct?
Objection.
That's sustained.
You need to actually investigate the circumstances for yourself and to your own satisfaction. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
One of those investigative techniques would be to walk into the house and figure out who's who there, correct?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure. One of those investigative techniques to satisfy yourself that you're actually getting to the truth of the matter would be to walk into the house and figure out who's in the house first.
I will agree that I needed to speak to the people in the home. I can't just walk in their house. I have to announce myself, and they don't have to let me in.
I understand. I'm not trying to parse those words. I just mean entering the home and interviewing witnesses. That would be a normal part of your investigation initiative.
Yeah,
correct?
like you're gonna ask.
And you also knew that the most obvious place to look for witnesses that may have information about a fallen man in the snow would be 30 feet away in the home, correct?
Correct.
So once you're inside the residence, you walked in the front door, correct?
Yes.
You indicated that there's a stair.
I don't recall.
You indicated on direct examination that you didn't notice anything. I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me. You didn't notice anything out of place in the home.
No.
But you didn't go downstairs to the basement and look, did you?
Nope.
No.
Didn't look for broken furniture down there.
I didn't enter the basement at all.
You didn't
Why
look for torn clothing down there.
Why not?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
How about anywhere in the house? Did you look for broken furniture or torn clothing or blood evidence or DNA evidence?
At that point in time, I never made it past the front foyer area.
So the answer to my question is no, you did not.
I never made it past the front foyer area.
Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think he had any clue that John was beaten up. I'm not saying that this guy, and because people always say this, right? They're always just like, how could this many people be in on a cover up, right? That's not believable. And it's not. It's really hard to picture that. I don't think Michael Lank had any fucking clue that John O'Keefe was murdered in that house. None. And I think he's realizing now during this cross-examine just how much his ass got played. Like all it took was Jen McCabe. She was the most important person in all this. Her job was to get in, like speak to the cops, be awake at 4:53. Karen's going to call you. She's going to call. She's going to come looking. You need to be with her. You need to be ahead of this. And I think he's just like, yeah. So Jen McCabe just gets in his head. He never came in the house. So he's honestly not even thinking that John O'Keefe. I don't believe that Michael Lank had any clue. I think he believed that John O'Keefe never came in the house. I don't think he thought much about, well, how the fuck did he get here? I don't think that was going through his head yet. But he's just like, yeah, like he looks beat up, but it wasn't in the house. So he's like thinking, how the fuck did this happen? I don't get it. He looks like he got beat up, got in a fight. But she says he didn't come in. So, you know, he believes that. I believe that he honestly believed that. Because if he doesn't believe that, that means he's just jumping into this murder conspiracy. And that's a lot harder to believe, quite frankly. Right? That Michael Lank is just willing to just fuck it. Yeah, I've known you since middle school, so fuck it. I'm going to throw away my whole career and maybe probably go to jail over this. I'm going to help you cover up a murder. I don't believe that. I believe he got played. I believe all these motherfuckers got played by Jen McCabe. That's all this is. These gullible motherfuckers got played by Jennifer McCabe. And if you look at his face when they're like, look at this guy's face right now. Like that's the look of my ass got played. Yep. Probably should have looked around. Yep. Probably shouldn't have taken her word for it. Yep, that was dumb. Like, look at his face. That is the face right there of, yep, I'm a fucking idiot, aren't I? Yeah, I'm a useful stooge for the McAlberts. That's the face right there you're seeing. I don't think Michael Lank had any idea that John O'Keefe was murdered inside that house. I think he does now. But at the time, Jen McCabe won this match. She fooled his ass. And she's good at it, man. She's really good at it. Look what she's done to Peggy O'Keefe. Look what she's done to Paul O'Keefe. This bitch shows up at court. That's what's so offensive about her. She shows up in public like none of this has happened. She doesn't have everyone fooled. She's got people in her life fooled, like the Canton Townies. She got it fooled. She's a sociopath. She's good at what she does.
So if I were to ask you one more time, I know you never made it past before yet. Did you ever investigate the foyer area or any other part of the house for evidence of a fight.
No.
The only area I was able to observe at that point, everything appeared to be in order.
But you didn't search the rest of the house for a fight, Lieutenant. That's all I'm asking.
No, I wouldn't have had probable cause to do so.
I wouldn't have
Did you
probable
see
cause.
guidance from a court as to whether or not you might have probable cause?
You mean a search warrant?
That's what I mean.
I wouldn't fill out an affidavit for a search warrant because it wouldn't have probable cause.
In your mind, there was no PC to search that house, right?
Objection.
Let's move on from this.
One of the
All right.
Yes.
Who's that?
I believe Matt McCabe entered the house.
All right.
Taking charge.
So anyway, we could listen to this shit all night. You guys get the point there. They go over the evidence. You get the gist here. This is a joke. Those Canton cops, the first arrived at the scene, they weren't in on it, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, like, why are they just? I think it's just like, no, they don't want to believe that. Like, their ass got played. But the jury's hearing all of this. They know that Karen Reed, that no one heard her yell, "I did it, I did it, I did it," except for the chick who lied. They've all seen lied about her relationship with Caitlin Albert, so they're not going to believe her anymore. And the other firefighters heard it from her. So it's a game of telephone. It's all bullshit. And none of the police heard her say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Nobody saw any taillight at the scene that day. Sergeant Goode's report suddenly got changed to a new picture, which seems to have a Photoshop picture of a taillight in it. And nobody knows who put that in there. That's just the jury. Ted Daniels said that the jury is taking diligent notes, that this would be a great class if he was a teacher. A great class. So, you know, that's just my opinion. I think these guys got played by Jennifer McCabe and Kevin, racist Kevin. And when they say this about Jennifer McCabe, when they're always like, how could a soccer mom do something like this? That's their way of saying, how could a white woman do this? Like, let's be very clear about that. When they say soccer mom, they mean white woman. Kevin would never, ever, ever, ever say that about a black chick from Roxbury, ever. He would never be like, oh, that's standard behavior for that. Like, that's the way racists like Kevin Plevin think, is just like, well, she's a white woman from the suburbs. She can't have done this. They don't do that. Only urban people do shit like that. Not like Karen Reed, like people from Mansfield. Like, it's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit, all these people. So anyway, I could talk about this shit all night, but it's getting a little late. Let me just bang through some turtle chats here. Danielle sends 10 and says, how about the laughter in the courtroom when the cop says, if Lally told me, I'd believe it. And that was ballsy. It's like, what does that mean? I mean, for him to say something like that, I guess he's speaking that's how he really feels. But exactly. Pussycat sends $10, says, Doctor, you're amazing. Keep up the good work. Also, Detective Uri Butthole. Turtle Riders are everywhere. Get another membership. No one wants you at Elite Gym in Stoughton. Bro, you heard that, Bukaki. That's not me. I'm not stalking you, your ratchet ass. And you got to work out a little more. We've seen your shirt off. You got titties. Not good. Matthew sends $5 and says, threw away the box, wondering how long should I eat up my Hot Pocket in the microwave? 2 minutes usually does it. You don't have to flip it. Thank you. Lizzie sends $5 and says, can we protest D&E after Chris testifies, like the day after? I don't know how that works, how long you remain a witness. I'm not sure, but good question. Matthew sends $5. No comment. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew sends $5 and says, threw away the box. Just wondering how long I should put. Okay, we already answered that one. Thank you, Matthew. Do we have any cash apps here? Because I got to wake up early tomorrow to go to court. Kerry sends $10 and says, confirmed Grande is not outside court. Random fucking citizen. Again, I mean, I will be there bright and early tomorrow morning. If there are empty seats with people's names on them, I will be taking them and putting them behind me. So I will be in front of those seats. That is not, homie, don't play that. No. You think you're going ahead of me because you're putting a chair there with your name on it, but you're not. Like, they're going to, if that's actually a thing, what I believe happened is Grande went down there with a bunch of his own chairs and put Gretchen Voss's name on one and WCVB on another. That's what I believe happened. And he thinks that means something to me. but it doesn't. I am going to physically remove the chairs. And if Grant wants to put a finger on me, I wouldn't recommend it, son. Wouldn't recommend it. Not going to end the way you think it does, son. So anyway, because I'm not the type of person that accepts getting shit on like that. It will not happen. Just understand. I don't hope it doesn't happen. I wish a motherfucker would. Like, I wish it would happen. Try it, Grant. Just try it. We'll see how that one goes. Anyway, people are sending me all sorts of messages from there. I mean, yeah, it appears to just be Grande by himself with some blonde chick. I don't know who she is. But again, that's fine. Okay. Anyway, anybody have any questions they want to ask me? Go ahead. Fire away. People are all messaging me. Oh, is that Kim Fair that's with him? That doesn't count. She don't count. Getting tons of messages right now. Message requests. Let me see these. Why was Renee Roberts sitting with the O'Keefes today? She is a real estate broker and sister-in-law to Kerry Roberts. Oh, is that her? Interesting. Okay. And okay, can I just tell you, people messaging me? Here's what, don't message me with this stuff. Like, I'm reading one message that says this. It says, is there video of the evidence room? Wondering if the bag of evidence was sealed when placed in the temporary evidence room. Do not message me with messages like that. I am not here to talk to you about the case. I'm not like your personal friend. Like, my inbox is for story tips. So if you have a story tip, send it. Please do not message me with your theories about the case. I don't give a shit what your theory of the case is. Please do not message me with questions about the case. I don't have time to answer them. That's what the group is for. Okay. Consider there's got to be a wall here or something like that. Some sort of division. Like, I'm not your friend that you message with every thought that goes through your head. I don't want to be rude, but it's just a lot of people read this shit. Okay. And I can't, if everybody messaged me, nothing would get done. Okay. So there's that. Again, not trying to be rude, just trying to set some boundaries here. Okay. Okay. All right. I'll go back to the questions. Anyone have any questions they want to ask me? What was the court's 50-foot stipulation for you? 50 yards. So the fake victim, within 50 yards of a courthouse, I can be next to the fake victim all I want. Not that I want to be anywhere near her or downwind, but I can be anywhere within 50 yards without going to jail. So there's that. I met CO Luke. Yes, Luke Sprague, good guy. He was my favorite babysitter in jail. One of my favorite babysitters down the area, down in the SMU, when I used to do my push-ups there, and for 6:30 to 7:30 every night with the bad boys. I've been working there for about 3 months, facilitating groups with the guys. All right, you're at the. I'm surprised I didn't see you there when I was there, Tina. Well, all Mello's paperwork is tomorrow. I'm guessing he won't have it. If I was a juror and they made them leave the courtroom, I'd pull a turtle and be like, nah, I'm probably just going to stay here. I got to hear this, right? Yeah, Brian Albert's definitely going to have to testify. If not the prosecution, then the defense, certainly. Oh, thank you for asking. She's doing well. She's undergoing chemotherapy, but she's a fighter and she'll be good. Thank you for asking. Available in the Turtle Boy store. The Jackson Yannetti 2024 shirts. Very hot. Thank you. Wasn't Brian Albert supposed to be testifying this week? That's what I had heard. So we'll see. Yeah. And if they're going to do that, then I got people too, Grande. I got people too who will sit in shifts. And they're not kidding, for me to be in there 100%. If that's allowed, but again, we're not going to allow that. I already showed Paul looking at Karen, so go back and watch the beginning if you haven't. We don't have court May 8th, but there's a deadline for Mello to get his discovery in. Am I on something about? No, I'm not. It's like I shake the table sometimes like that, and the camera moves around. That's the problem. All right, I'm going to go to the current questions. All right. All right. Yeah, free LC. I know. We got a free LC. Okay. All right. Doesn't look like anyone else has any questions. So, let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Where'd my email go? My turtle chats. I don't want to miss any. One more turtle chat from Brave Little Toaster. Turtle Boy, great coverage. Boston local here from Southie, and cops have always been corrupt. Any of us could be Karen Reed. Could you please help me understand how it goes from 0 to 60 so fast once he goes inside 34 Fairview Road? You know, your theory is as good as mine. I think he went in there and got into a fight, and he went too far, and somebody hit him in the back of the head, and boom, he's out. That's what I think happened. So thank you, Brave Little Toaster. Love you, bro. Just subscribed last. Yeah, welcome to all the new subs. I think you'll like it here. Stick around. Stick around. Top, you know, go listen to the Jill Daniels episode back in August something. You'll have a great time. Turtle Riders could probably direct you to that. Best episode ever. Do you think you'll get in the courtroom tomorrow? Yes. All right. So anyway, I am going to be going to bed now, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully I won't be streaming it because I'll be inside the courtroom, in which case I'll be tweeting it. So peace, Turtle Riders.